Coming to you live on the intertubes.
Honky dory.
Oh man, we'll be
Honky
without.
dory.
Well, here's the positive thing though, is that we have Sean here instead of Andre.
Yeah, come on, guys. That's gotta be.
Oh yeah,
that's
no,
a
hey,
positive.
awesome.
That's definitely a positive.
Yeah.
Oh man, let's see.
Yeah, but I'll get my I'll have Andre later on for the watch party. Though.
Oh, you just ruined it right there. We're on a high, and then you're like,
but you guys won't be there, so you can stay on that high. It's me.
I'm gonna stay on that high. Yeah, you still got to deal with him.
Yeah, I'll be dealing with.
I like how I tell him shit, and then he's like, he comes back and he's like, hey, remember when I said this? I'm like, no, dumbass, I told you this.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah,
like you're just trying to claim fucking ownership of something that you think is profound now.
Yeah, because I'll be with him for like 2 hours later.
Yeah, and basically Ryan's just like,
shame on you, ugly baby judges you.
Yeah, you have to be with him.
oh,
What's up, guys?
What is up, everyone? As we mentioned before, we have a complete 4Nerds, no one missing at all.
We have 4 people, so that's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all we need. How's it going, everybody? We got episode 180 of the 4Nerds. 180. Entering 80.
Getting close to that 200 mark.
Yeah. Exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Very exciting.
Guys,
Yeah.
like and share, so because we really would like to grow our audience.
The last one was 180.
Man, we got Shri here saying it's been forever since I caught the show live. Hey, yo, nerds. What's up, Shri?
What's up, man?
It seems I wasted in on ongoing conversation.
We still do this.
Yeah, Shri and I interact on Instagram every now and then. It's good to see Shri. Good to see you. Let's see here. We also got Jason. Fear Jason, what is up?
What's up, Jason?
We got RJ.
Yo, what's up, RJ? What's up, Fear
RJ?
Jason?
We got Gilmer Eric Smith saying happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday, my dudes. We got Droga. What's up, bud? Will says 3 nerds and a vampire.
What's up? Yep.
Nice.
Layers. There it is. Okay.
Droga saying Dawson's officially moved out. DJW Art is not in the house anymore.
I think it looks like Sean and Dawson are in the same room.
It almost does.
Could
Honestly.
be, yeah. Just different lighting, yeah.
Now that I moved it up, it's basically the same thing. No, the office is being worked on right now because we're gonna be renting out our house. So it's I'm in a different spot of the house. I'm still in the house. I'm just not in the office. Is what's going on here. So yeah. So you're wrong, Droga. You're wrong. We also got Daryl Taylor in here and Jason McKenzie saying howdy, guys. How's it going?
So, what up? What up?
We
guys?
do have a lot to talk about today. There were
Oh
several-
yeah, it's chock full of interesting topics.
You don't have to sound all fake, Ryan.
It is. No, there's a lot of shit to talk about. A lot of stuff
there is
going on.
There is. Well, first and foremost, how's everybody's week going?
Good.
Yeah. Just
No, it's good. It's good. Everything is good here. We're fine here now. We're fine. How are you?
all right.
Any day above ground is a good day. So let's just put it like that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. It's been an exciting week for me. I actually started working on a book for someone this week.
For someone else?
Yeah, for someone else.
Wow.
I've been doing the pencils for the first 3 pages so far. I've been doing a page a day.
Yeah.
I was trying to get like 2 done today, but it just wasn't working out. But yeah, got 3 pages of a comic pencil.
Flatting a page a day. That shit is fucking. You can't do it. I tried. And
Yeah.
You just can't. You can't. Yeah, you gotta take a break. You gotta walk around. You gotta fucking move your legs.
Yeah. Well, me, like when I pencil, I'm pretty fast. So penciling a page a day is pretty manageable for me. So it's, in fact, I probably could do 2 if I really like push myself and did late into the night, but I'm like trying not to burn myself out.
Right.
But which is exciting because like when I looked it up, the recommended amount or the what's it called? The minimum you should do as a comic artist for a day is like 1 page a day. So I'm doing that.
Yeah, that is the minimum.
Yeah.
Typically.
So So that is
Would you ever find? Well, this is really a question for you or Ryan. Do you guys ever find yourselves in a zone where you're just like, I'm just gonna keep pushing through, just keep going until you say, oh, I've done now. Wow, I've already done 10 pages already.
No, I've never done.
No, that's just a random number. I'm just saying though, like you mentioned, like 1 to 2 pages.
Man, you know what?
But did you ever find yourself like I'm so in the zone right now? I'm just gonna keep going for like another 3 or 4.
I have had days like that where, like, if I'm really feeling it, not necessarily with pages, but just an artwork in general, I'll end up working till like maybe 9 o'clock. I've had days where like,
you're pushing your bedtime.
No, like, because I try not to make it consume my entire day. But there've been some days where like it gets to like 7 o'clock, and like I've done a good amount of work, but I feel myself like I can do more. I can do a lot more. And
I get upset with myself because I stop and I'll watch something, just to kind of like break the monotony and kind of get back into doing something else. So I'll go watch a show or some shit like that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm wasting my time here. I should go back and actually keep working on this, because if I don't, because every time I get to it, I'm moving, I'm getting closer and closer to the finish line.
Yeah.
And the more obstacles that I put in the way of myself, then I'm like, I just keep pushing the fucking envelope. I want to be done with what I'm doing so I can start working on these other things that I have in mind or whatever. And I mean, you are your own worst enemy. You are your own, because you put the most obstacles in your way, and you tell yourself that you can't do something. I don't want to work on that, or I'm not in the mood, or I'm not, I don't feel like it, or or I'd rather do this or that or whatever. So you put so many things in your own way that you don't need enemies. You don't need people to put shit in your way, because you already got the worst one is you, because you know what you like and you know what can distract you.
Yeah. And I think a big thing too is figuring out the difference between riding the hot streak that you're on as an artist and also burning yourself out. Because there's a very fine line there where it's like, well, you're feeling really good, you want to use it while you have it, but then also run the risk of really tiring yourself out, so the next day you really just don't feel like working on it because I got so much done yesterday and my brain's just tired about it. So just figuring out your limit there is
so it's really just find that balance, right? To say, right, I feel like I've accomplished what I need to accomplish today. Tomorrow I know what the next set of accomplishments are, next set of goals, so to speak, right, in order to meet whatever date you've set for yourself.
Man, I'm already behind. I set a timeline up, and I'm already behind that timeline. I'm like, I'm kicking myself in the ass. I'm like, man. And you know what? Flatting is tedious as shit. I've been posting that on Instagram. It's just so tedious, but it's very relaxing, because when you're doing that, you don't have to worry about the color. All you're doing is basically, paint by numbers, color by numbers, whatever, but you don't have to worry about what color it is that you're using, just as long as you're not using a color that's, being used somewhere else, which is kind of hard to do.
We got a super chat here from Connor Dorian. Let's give him a little explosion here as a thank you. Connor says, big news is something we'll talk about here today. It says, big news, the upcoming DC TV series Lanterns, the It prequel TV series Welcome to Derry, and the Harry Potter TV series will all be in HBO originals instead of Max originals, which is awesome, because HBO is the brand that people care about more than Max.
It's one they identify with the most, more than Max.
I heard, and this is from RJ, so I have to give him props. But I heard that when you do an HBO original, they throw more money at that versus a Max original, as far as because that's their flagship. I don't know. It's just something he said, so I was just like, hey, I don't know anybody that I can kind of fact check that with or whatever.
I'm not sure about the validity of that. I'd have to dig deeper into that, because it's. These budgets.
It sounds like it makes sense, but I don't know.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Daryl Taylor, did you listen to the Marvel podcast show today? Kevin Feige did confirm something, and I really don't know why people are talking trash about James Gunn over the Superman suit. To answer the first part of that question, I did listen to the Marvel podcast show on the way home from work today, because I did leave work early. But I did listen to that interview with Kevin Feige. He did, in fact, confirm that Fantastic Four is a 1960s period piece, and he did hint at the idea that it is set in an alternate universe. He also confirmed and verified that Wonder Man is indeed a thing that is happening. So that'll be cool. And it is also the news came out today that Marvel Studios will in fact be at San Diego Comic-Con for Hall H.
Yep.
I'm going to try my damnedest to get in there, and we'll see what happens and who shows up, because anything's possible. Also, Fantastic Four will shoot literally the Monday after Comic-Con. So the day I head back to California is the day Fantastic Four enters production, like filming production. So.
Do you think they'll follow that trend that they're doing with Fantastic Four being an alternate universe, so they don't have to worry so much about like continuity or, I guess trying to make things fit?
I guess it kind of depends on what property you're adapting at that point. I feel like Fantastic Four, that's a little easier to get away with, considering the nature of the franchise and the IP and the characters that encapsulate the Fantastic Four, because they, the stories that are in that realm of the Fantastic Four, they usually encompass that of like multi-dimensional travel, space radiation, things of gravity and cosmic nature. So I feel like for the Fantastic Four specifically, and considering that Galactus is the big bad and the villain of the entire story for this new movie, it doesn't surprise me that it may take place in an alternate universe, because if the rumors are true and Galactus is being turned from like a planet eating character to a universe eating character, I could see that being adapted, and then maybe by the end of the film, they do wind up somehow, some way in the main timeline, the prime timeline, the sacred timeline, as it's referred to by the TVA. Obviously, we're seeing some kind of multiversal shenanigans with Deadpool and Wolverine, and Kevin Feige talked a great deal about that and how they're integrating films they had nothing to do with into their sandbox. The way he referred to the movies that Deadpool and Logan, those movies, that he referred to them as a sandbox, and he referred to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a sandbox, and like integrating characters from said sandbox into one another. So it was a really solid interview. The episode was only about a half hour long. There was also another talk with someone from Marvel Games in regards to the Marvel Capcom collection coming later this year. And there was also someone that I forgive me. I just listened to this podcast because it's so fresh and brand new that I'm not familiar with the host names yet. But they talked to a bunch of people who work at Marvel, Kevin Feige included, about various different things, and they capped the episode off with some history regarding the Fantastic Four. And yes, who just said TW McKay is right. Brad Winterbaum will be talking middle far. Yeah, he will be on the next episode. There was a soundbite of him talking about Daredevil Born Again, and how in a way it is kind of like X-Men 97, where they're honoring one thing that had come before, but they're also trying to elevate it and take it in a bit of a different direction. Basically saying this thing is canon from before, and what you see follows that canon, but we're going to take it and do our thing with it, and it makes sense. So okay. I'm excited for it. Like I'm on a pretty high Marvel train right now. To me, Marvel Studios is kind of back on track from where I'm standing. They've got a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline between Fantastic Four with Thunderbolts, Deadpool and Wolverine, Agatha all along. Take your pick on that, because I don't know how many people are really going to be too into that, but that just feels like an appetizer for what's to come later on down the line. Captain America: Brave New World has my interest, and yeah, and of course the two Avengers movies. Kevin Feige did say of the projects that are currently on the slate following Deadpool and Wolverine, the ones he is most excited for, obviously the corporate. He gave the two answers. He was like, well, from a corporate standpoint, we're all very excited for everything that's coming. But me personally, Kevin Feige said he's personally excited for Fantastic Four and the two Avengers movies, and I'm like, well, that doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah. And with Fantastic Four, one thing that I really hope about this movie is that since it's going to be set in like the 60s, I really hope that means they're going to approach the visual aesthetic, the costumes and things from a different perspective. I hope that it's the same old, MCU type suits. I hope that they actually kind of embrace that. Don't go too over the top campy with it, but make it to where it really visually stands out. And if they do that, then I'd be a happy camper.
I think they'll go with sort of along the lines of like, The Incredibles or whatever, something because The Incredibles felt like it was in the 60s, even though it may have been modern, but it just kind of had that feel, just as far as like, not just the world around them, but also just, their suits and how they were, designed.
Well, I think if they have them, I think they'll only have them if they fold them into a modern MCU with the modern characters. I could then see that those costumes getting changed fairly quickly.
I would look towards WandaVision, because Matt Shakman did direct that, and despite the finale not being as spectacular as it could have been, the rest of that series was phenomenal. Capturing the different eras of television was spectacular. And honestly, getting him to direct this movie and having it set in the 60s makes complete sense for me, because obviously he just nailed those timeless aesthetics through the different eras of television. I feel like if you're going to do a 60s period piece, who better to direct the film than Matt Shakman? So I'm excited. I mean, Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, that's just top-notch casting in my opinion. I love Pedro Pascal and everything he's done for the most part. And I think Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm is going to be amazing. That's just fabulous casting in and of itself. I think the two of them are going to have some really cool chemistry. I also think that oh man, what is the guy? Joseph Quinn. He's going to be an awesome Johnny Storm. He is going to knock that shit out of the fucking park. That is going to be awesome. And then of course Eben Moss-Bachrach as Ben Grimm. That in and of itself is probably the most perfect casting of the four of them. He if you watch The Bear, you see Ben Grimm. Like, he is fucking spot on for Ben Grimm. And I cannot wait for this movie. And God forbid if I get the chance to speak to any of them and like just say, hey, thanks for all you do, get a sign, whatever. Oh my God, it would just make my Comic-Con experience all the more fucking fabulous. I legitimately cannot wait to go to San Diego now. If they show up, I would be so fucking happy.
And also if they can get like 60s style music in the film, just really make it to where you feel like you're engrossed in a 60s atmosphere. If they can pull that off and still make it a fun, enjoyable superhero story and film, I'll be very happy with what they do with that. I agree. I think the cast has a lot of potential to be really fantastic. And
no pun intended.
No pun intended. I don't have any real red flags with the Fantastic Four movie yet. I mean, maybe there's some that'll come up, but so far it's like,
Well, are there any concerns of the typical MCU humor getting put into it?
Nope.
No.
Well, I mean, it's going to be humorous.
Well, I know it's going to be humorous, but I'm like, it could be humorous, but I'm like overly humorous. Like, we really don't need this many jokes, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Because we've come across some of that in the Marvel space where it's like,
I can agree with that. Just over the top, not necessary. Yeah.
That's
no, I don't think so personally.
I think because, this is my hope anyway. I hope that because they're going to approach it slightly differently with the time period and everything, I hope that there's not too much concern. Hopefully they've learned from that, because that has been a big problem, at least for me and a lot of other fans. Real quick, though, let's switch to Dwayne Jackson's super chat here.
Hey, thank you so much. Oh, my gosh.
Let's get a Doomsday Explosion celebration for you. First and foremost, Dwayne, you're awesome. We appreciate your support of the channel.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Always.
You're amazing. He says, I don't want to sound ignorant or naive. Vincent D'Onofrio did a recent interview saying Sony, he owns the Kingpin character. Yeah. I know about the Marvel Comics 1990 selling characters. Sony and Universal never created any characters. To me, it's literally legalized extortion. I don't know about the ownership of Kingpin. That's a good question. I mean, I'd assume that Marvel owns that specific character since they've used it. But was Sony the studio behind Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie?
No,
or was it a different studio?
That was Fox.
That was Fox. Okay, that's right. It's Fox.
That's
right. They combined those.
Right?
It looks like the rights are owned by Sony, though.
Really?
That's what I'm reading right now.
This is
produced by 20th Century Fox, but the rights were still owned by Sony
for the character of Kingpin.
Yeah.
And it's okay. That's an interesting one, because I'm trying to think, like, was Kingpin introduced in Spider-Man or was he introduced in Daredevil?
I want to say Daredevil.
That was my thought too, but I think
I haven't seen.
No. First appearance, The Amazing Spider-Man number 50, cover date July 1967.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
Stan Lee, John Romita Sr. Wow. Okay. That kind of
that checks out. I mean, so what that means is that Marvel has been obviously paying Sony to use him for their stuff. I mean, obviously that has to be the same thing with like Spider-Man. There's like an agreement they reached where like maybe they share. I don't know about that either. So I'm kind of in Dwayne's place here too.
Go back to Into the Spider-Verse. Why else would Kingpin be the main antagonist in that movie? By all technicalities, if he was introduced in a Spider-Man comic, he would then fall under the Spider-Man umbrella of characters. But considering he also has greatly become a Daredevil antagonist, if not the Daredevil antagonist, you can understand why. I would have to imagine Sony probably didn't pay, or Marvel didn't have to pay too much money to be able to use Sony in whatever, especially considering that the Netflix deal was under Marvel Entertainment proper, and television rights and film rights are two completely different things.
I think that's what Venom's saying. Sony owns the film rights of Kingpin. I think the TV rights is Marvel Studios.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
well, that makes sense.
It. Yeah. But yeah, it's a great question there, Dwayne. We appreciate once again your super chat and for your support of the channel.
Definitely,
You're awesome, man. We appreciate you.
Keep the lights on.
But
going back, you can see Dawson has no furniture.
Going back to the Daredevil film itself from 2003 with Ben Affleck, you'd have to imagine that Sony probably wasn't eager to use Kingpin at any point, which is probably why they were like, "Yeah, go ahead, whatever, we don't mind."
Well, he's such a character underutilized that they're it's so much different than using like a Thanos or a Darkseid or some big fucking like Brainiac character that's like huge. It's like, oh, you want to use fucking Kingpin? That's like using Black Mask in DC. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't care. It's like, what are you gonna do with him? It's not gonna be that great, but it was. So it was really cool.
Well, what's interesting is actually he did his first appearance was actually back in '89. The character's first appearance was in one of the Trial of the Incredible Hulk from the late '80s.
You talking about live action appearance?
Yeah, live action.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, because that was also when Daredevil showed up too in that show.
He was in that same episode. Yeah,
correct. Yeah.
So, and again, television,
Yep.
rights and film. So that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
True. So essentially, like, kind of going back to wrap things up with Fantastic Four, I'm excited to see some like visuals of the movie. I'm excited to see what the suits look like, and we'll just have to see. But again, so far, nothing but green flags for me so far.
I think
really to worry about yet.
Again, I look to WandaVision for the main inspiration and the what's the other word I want to use here? The basis of what to expect from Fantastic Four, because Matt Shakman handled a lot of that with Jack Schaefer, who wrote the series, and despite that one episode doesn't exactly kill the entire season for me, but it was easily probably the weakest part of it. Even still, like, I do feel like given Shakman's rapport with that kind of era of storytelling, period pieces and a multitude of period pieces at that through an entire season of television, I feel like he just focusing on the 1960s in one core group of characters and introducing Marvel's first family in cinematic form for the fourth time, nonetheless, too, because if you look back at the failed Roger Corman film that was only made to hold on to the rights, the two films which Tim Story did for Fox, and then the reboot that Fox did with Josh Trank that was an utter disaster. This is literally, counting theatrically released, this is literally the fourth time that the Fantastic Four film will be theatrically released, and I do feel like in this case, fourth time is the charm, and I do get the feeling that they are going to make the best movie possible, and they're going to do right by it, which is also why I think John Watts might have walked away, because I don't think he was intent on doing a period piece. I think that's definitely up more Matt Shakman's route. He even walked away from Star Trek. Matt Shakman walked away from doing Star Trek to do this. So, yeah, I'm fully on board for Fantastic Four. They are arguably some of my favorite characters from Marvel Comics, alongside Spider-Man, Wolverine, and a couple other select characters. But absolutely, Reed Richards is one of my favorite characters. He's like the smartest person in Marvel Comics. So it'll be very cool to see Pedro Pascal bring that character to life and see just how they portray their version of the Fantastic Four and their ultimate, like, bigger part to play in what is to come with Avengers Secret Wars. So I'm excited. I'm here for it. Can't wait.
So let's play devil's advocate here. So let's just say this doesn't pan out. Let's just say it.
Oh, then close up shop. Go.
Yeah, shut it down. Let's say fourth time isn't a charm. And how long do you think before we'll ever see another Fantastic Four again? Live action.
I mean, when the bar is so low with Fan Four Stick, there's no way I can see this film being a complete and utter disaster box office wise.
But let's just say it is, though.
I'm sorry. I reject the premise. I just don't.
If it sucks, I would give it until they reboot the universe.
Okay.
I was looking at Dawson thinking, damn, Dawson.
I didn't do that.
But then I looked over at Phil like, no, that was definitely Phil.
No, I do think that this, given all the criticisms Marvel Studios had, I feel like they can't have Fantastic Four fumble, and I don't think it will, personally. I mean, in the off chance it does, I don't think that a sequel would be immediately happening, but I do feel like they'd stick around. They'd absolutely probably show up in one or both Avengers movies. That's my guess. But yeah.
They'll do
I don't
like
know.
they're gonna do for Superman. If that shit fucking flops, he'll just be kind of popping in, popping out of the universe.
You're talking apples and apricots there, buddy. They're two different scenarios.
It doesn't fucking matter. What I'm talking about is fucking studios saying, "Hey, you know what? This character that is a flagship character, yes, there's just fucking. We're not going to reboot the whole fucking universe, but we're going to have him come back in here and there, or whatever. There's going to be connective tissue. They're not going to fucking get rid of the actors or whatever. They'll continue to bring them back and just they'll cameo here and there, which is the same that would happen if Corn Sweat's movie sucks. So.
Yeah, they wouldn't experience what I think the cast of the Eternals is experiencing when that movie was underwhelming for people. We haven't heard jack squat about them since. They haven't even addressed the things that happened in that movie with the giant celestial peeking out of the earth. Like, they wouldn't do that to the Fantastic Four. But I kind of in thinking along the lines of Ryan here, where if it didn't succeed, which again is a big if, then yeah, they would just kind of use them every now and then, but not really rely on them too much as a flagship corner of the franchise.
Which is insane to even entertain personally, because I feel like the Fantastic Four should be another flagship for them following the Avengers.
I agree.
And X-Men. Yeah. I feel like, going forward after Secret Wars, their flagship franchises probably and should be Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Because there's a lot you can do with both of them.
Honestly, when it comes to Marvel, there are three big things that they really need to just put all their effort into to make it as quality as possible. Of course, you have Deadpool and Wolverine, which I feel like already is going to be a major success financially. You got that to ride on, and then you got Fantastic Four that you got to make sure that you hit with. And then, like you said, Phil, how they portray the X-Men in live action. Those are the three big things. Obviously, they have their Avengers films and such, but I feel like X-Men is a little bit more important as far as the health of the MCU going forward than Avengers is, which may be a weird thing to say, but
no, I think that's very apropos to say because of the success of X-Men 97. I feel like there's even now more pressure on Marvel Studios to get the X-Men right in terms of bringing them into their universe. And I feel like Deadpool and Wolverine is kind of not necessarily laying the foundation, but it's putting the steps forward to being if we're going to do the X-Men, it's going to look something like this following Secret Wars or what have you. Because I feel like X-Men still in the rear view in terms of they have all this stuff going on that is leading up to Secret Wars. And even though Deadpool and Wolverine are likely going to be in Secret Wars, I feel like there is a very slim chance of any other X-Men character showing up for that movie. Now, by what I mean to say that is, I think it's slim for any new versions of the X-Men to show up. It's not to say that, James Marsden's Cyclops or Famke Janssen's Jean Grey, or even, Patrick Stewart or even Ian McKellen. I feel like all of those versions of those characters are absolutely more plausible to show up in Secret Wars as opposed to trying to introduce the audience to new versions of those characters. I think that's all going to happen after Secret Wars.
Okay, I can see that. Makes sense to me. But if we're done with that, I think we're just kind of done with that topic. Real quick, let's actually get into the main topics we have set up for today. Let's kind of get a warm up here. This has already been kind of mentioned early on, and that is the Green Lanterns show.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually getting greenlit. We had a comment talking about that, how it's getting the HBO treatment, which people are thinking means more budget for it, which makes sense because you're trying to make a series about space cops. Obviously, it's going to need more of a budget in order to really work, visually and just make sure that it all feels convincing. And it's just nice to see that this is finally confirmed to actually happening, that they're actually going forward with it rather than just saying, hey, we're going to do this and then nothing.
I mean, we've gone so far as to in the old regime, who gives a fuck? But still, they've actually cast people, and we're going to hear castings and shit. I don't give a fuck until they actually start, on set, fucking with the cameras rolling. And then okay, this is actually fucking happening. Let's see it. Because I mean, I love the Green Lantern lore. I like all the different different rings in the spectrum or whatever. And I hope that they lean into, the Manhunters and the fucking, the Red Lantern Corps and all that, because that's some pretty interesting, and Krona, that's some pretty interesting stuff right there, for the Lanterns. And I think, and they said something about like, this could be like, the Lantern Show could really, sort of set up, one of the big bads or whatever. What's up, Antonio? And I would think maybe Anti-Monitor would maybe be set up as a big villain for the, Justice League to have to fucking deal with or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. Not really right now, but once they fucking tell me that, hey, they've broke some ground and shot some footage, watch some fucking dailies, then yeah, I'll be pretty excited for it, because I like the Lanterns.
Yeah. Dwayne here says, I will believe it when I see an actual trailer. I think that sums it up pretty well right there. I mean,
yeah, because HBO Max, that was like their first fucking show. They were like, yeah, Green Lantern, that's gonna be it, and they're just like, no, they haven't done it.
We're not gonna talk about that again.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with we have what's his name,
James Gunn.
Chris Mundy he's coming to do it. I mean, he did Ozark and he did a season of True Detective. I me personally, I liked Ozark. I didn't see the True Detective Night Country yet, but Ozark I thought was pretty good. So I think, to everyone's point, like I said, I'll believe it when I see it as well, for whether it's a trailer or things are happening. But we're only getting 8 episodes, so you would think it would want to fast track this, at least get a win on the board at some point. Especially when you're looking at trying to get everyone on board for a broader DCU. So
yeah. I think he's trying to get as many projects in play as possible to kind of get this thing kickstarted.
Honestly, this has me more excited than the Superman movie. Like I really do like that. I've seen Ozark. I've seen the first 3. I think 4 seasons of Ozark? There's 3 or 4 seasons of Ozark. I don't remember which one, but I'm on the second to last season. I still need to finish it up, but I enjoy that show. I've seen the first season of True Detective, and I've seen Watchmen, because Damon Lindelof is also part of the writing crew on this, and I think Damon Lindelof is an absolute genius when it comes to writing stuff, especially Watchmen. That was just so well done in so many different ways. So clearly he's got some understanding of like how to craft a compelling superhero narrative. And then you've also got Tom King there, who's got a lot of pedigree with DC Comics as well. So I feel like there's a really nice triage of people there working on this show. And I do think that greenlighting this means it's a lot further along than a lot of people were led to assume. So I feel like this could very well start shooting the beginning of next year, and maybe even eyeing a late 25, early 26 release date. That's my guess. But I actually, if it goes into production early next year, I could see it easily being a Q1 release of 26. I could absolutely see it taking the early winter spot of 26 for an early release of that year. That very much, I think, is possible. As far as right, exactly, because we've seen things happen before where things tend to change or whatever. But as far as like the old incarnations of the show, I think it's important to remember that it went through 2 different creative overhauls with people coming and going, and then they changed between those overhauls, they changed focus of who was going to be the main focus, from Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz to Jon Stewart, and then that version of that story was completely axed once James Gunn and Peter Safran came in, and they decided they were going to do their own thing with Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. So and then once you start from scratch, everything that was already intended to happen. And, they had Finn Wittrock there as Guy Gardner too. And then, they were filming stuff with him. And then once James Gunn and Peter Safran came in, that was completely like, hey, we know you did some work, but we're sorry. We have to let you go because we're taking these characters in a bunch of different directions. And you're not needed anymore, which is kind of unfortunate. Like Gunn even mentioned that, he thinks Finn Wittrock's a great actor, but, he had a different idea for what Guy Gardner was going to do, or who he was going to be. So, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm more excited for Green Lantern than I am Superman at this very moment in time. So we'll see, who they decide to cast as John and Hal respectively. Saving it from Buster instead of Jeff Johns and Homeboy from the CW. It was Greg Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim who were developing it, which is really unfortunate because they got screwed out of Green Lantern for a second time following
That's
this
true.
regime change, because Berlanti famously was supposed to direct the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds. He was ousted and fired from that. And then they brought in Martin Campbell, and he completely derailed that movie from what was initially the script Ryan Reynolds signed on from. And that's how we got that movie. But yeah, this is now the second time that Greg Berlanti has been burned by WB in getting a Green Lantern anything. And that's really unfortunate. But
Yeah.
at that same time, I can't really be mad at like having Chris Mundy and Tom King and Damon Lindelof being the writers for this new Green Lantern show. And especially if they take some kind of inspiration from Green Lantern Earth 1, I can't really be mad at that. I mean, it's just the nature of this business. You know, things are happening, then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they don't happen and something else new comes from it. Sometimes it's, you know, fits what you want. Sometimes it doesn't. In this case, as far as Green Lantern's concerned, I've never really been a hardcore Green Lantern fan. So I'm just like, give me what you got. I'll take anything at this point.
Yeah. Honestly. Just
Well,
like,
even at its basic level, though, we really haven't seen much live action of these characters, right? So I think that's right there in itself is like a breath of fresh air. Like how many more times? I mean, while I enjoy the main characters, Superman, Batman, all these other ones, I do want to see some of the other ones brought to life as well, and what
I
they
agree.
can bring. So,
And I feel like there's a lot of fertile ground you can
Yeah.
really, you know, explore with Green Lanterns. I mean, Ryan brought up the point of Antimatter. I think that's kind of a stretch personally, but you know, there are a lot of cosmic villains you can explore by way of Green Lantern, be it like the Red Lanterns, like the Manhunters, like, you know, Thanagar. You know, there is a lot of other cosmic avenues you can take just with Green Lantern alone, especially if this series is supposed to be investigating like a death on Earth, but that's supposed to lead to something more cosmic. That's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited.
If they fucking try to investigate Kandar Row, I'm like fucking, I'm out. Because that's the name of the fucking person. They're always fucking looking for this motherfucker. So it's like there's like 2 different or 3 different fucking iterations of Kandar Row, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, come up with another fucking villain or another fucking, you know, like, you know, I don't know, just it's stupid. Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm happy to see it. You know, I want to see some shit. You know, God, what the fuck do these people look like? You know, in your universe. You know, what do their fucking constructs look like? What, you know, how does this shit work? You know, like, what is Owo going to be? You know, is it going to be the same shit that we saw in fucking Ryan Reynolds, or is it going to be something completely different? You know, I don't know. You know, I get that it's cheaper, that it's fucking Earth based, but I would so much prefer if they're fucking like off investigating shit off world. You know, because I mean, you know, I forgot our fucking sector, but the 28 some other bullshit. I don't know. It's bigger than just this planet. So I'd like for them to fucking have to police more than just this planet.
I agree with that too. And I also want to see eventually what the suits look like, because we just saw a fan film like Suits that came out, what was it, a couple months back, that looked incredible. So if it doesn't measure up to that, then that's kind of a problem. But real quick, we got a $20 super chat here.
There you go, Dwayne. Thank you.
Yes. He's got it on top of it. And speaking of which, let's get a little super chat explosion. Dwayne says, I'm curious your guys' thoughts on the images on Terminator 1, which I actually had no idea was even a thing.
Animated.
I
haven't seen it, though.
It's written by Mattson Tomlin, who's currently writing the Batman Part 2 with Matt Reeves.
Okay. It says the timeline is 1997 Tokyo. From what the producer has said, it's minimal gun usage in the series. Interesting. Yeah, I had no idea this was a thing. Let me actually look at this. Let me see.
Are there any images of it? Or because I mean, I know it's animated. I just haven't seen anything.
It's
going
to be on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see. It's called Terminator 1. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Terminator 1.
Speaking of animes, that Suicide Squad Isekai anime or whatever drops tomorrow.
The what?
There's a Suicide Squad animated. It's either a series or a movie, and it comes out tomorrow on HBO Max.
Interesting.
So Dawson, I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna DM you one of the images I just found.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm looking at it. Keeps showing me images from the first Terminator movie.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks.
And I'm just like,
hey, no problem. I got you.
It's like I'm on top of it.
I'm on top.
Okay.
Oh, here I'll send you. I'm sending you 2. So one.
Terminator 0.
Is
That's what it is.
So the one I just sent you just has the one image, but I'm sending you a second one that has 4 images for you.
Okay, then
Right,
I'll pull it up to.
And the second one I sent you is directly from Netflix's post on June 6th. So
I think
the images
Timothy
are from them.
Oliphant is the Terminator in this, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna be rad.
let me share this.
Premiering on August 29th, aka
Which-
Judgment Day.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. That's really prime release timing, because that also factors into marketing. It also factors into the in-universe canon. So that's just fucking cool. That's gonna be awesome.
That looks sick.
Yeah, this series looks bad the fuck ass.
Oh, there's a gun. Wait a minute.
They lied.
Yeah, this series looks badass. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I had no idea this was even happening.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I'm kind of a huge Terminator fan. So when I heard that this was happening, especially from Mattson Tomlin, almost a year or two ago, I was over the fucking moon, because obviously Dark Fate didn't sit well with a lot of other people, and I feel like this is a step in the right direction for Terminator. And given the anime influence, I can only just make it all the more creepier, and I just love that. This is gonna be fucking dope.
Yeah, man. I keep thinking that a lot of modern IPs that are like popular, let me get rid of that, like would be well served being animated, especially with like the more ridiculous sci-fi superhero stuff. It just, I feel like it is conveyed a little bit better, but like, man, this does look really freaking cool.
Yeah, whoever thought it was a great idea to make an anime about Superman, and more hats off to them. My Adventures of Superman is kicking so much ass right now. It's so
I
good.
still need to catch up on that. I
Dude,
haven't been able to watch it.
You and I talked about it the other day, but I'm just going to reiterate it here. It was just so damn good. It's such a great playing field for Superman's lore. It honors so much of his mythology in such a fresh, organic way. It's so awesome. A show kicks so much ass, dude. I love it.
Yeah, both me and the wife really want to watch it, so we'll have to buckle down this weekend and just go ahead and binge it.
I recommend it. I recommend it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's exciting. So yeah, Terminator Zero on Netflix in August. That's going to be really fun. Love me some good anime-inspired stuff. Speaking of animated, let's move on to, or should we say this for the end?
No, I think that's a great segue. I think that's a really great segue. Yeah.
We got a trailer for I was hesitant about my segue.
Shit.
Yeah, trailer for Batman
I
Capes
didn't see
Crusader
this.
came out today. And I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think we'd get booted for showing the trailer here?
Well, considering it's Prime and not Warner Brothers proper, we might not get booted. I don't know. Maybe not.
You got a 50-50 shot. Either you will or you
You
won't.
can turn the sound off.
I could turn the sound off.
As
You
much
know
as
what?
I don't
Yeah.
want to, I think that would be the best way, because
Let's do that. Let me get I have the trailer pull up here, and
there it
turn
is.
that on.
just
the
make sure
sound.
it's muted.
Yeah. Okay. So let me restart this. So yeah, it's coming on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
I'll cover that. So we got the classic bat ears going on here, a little bit shorter of a cape. And again, just that Bruce Timm aesthetic pyro. Okay. Much better animation style than the current animation stuff.
I think that villain with the fire is probably Firebug. The one with the knife is Clayface. That's Renee Montoya. I love that Batman is still operating in the shadows and he's being treated like a legitimate vigilante villain in this. This is absolutely spectacular. This looks straight out of Bruce Timm. That Batmobile looks bad fuck ass.
You and I were talking the other day about what the Batmobile would look like. I'm very happy with this.
Same.
Very happy with that look.
Big same. I think that's the commissioner, because I don't think Gordon is commissioner quite yet.
Well, even in these upcoming scenes, we're going to see here in a minute, like right here, there's another one coming up. We're actually seeing more of especially with the time period this is set in. We're seeing more of the detective Batman versus the fancy gadgets and all this other stuff, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah. I do appreciate that definitely for this.
And honestly,
There's Harvey Dent,
hearing the voice work, let me see if I'm pulling up his name. Hamish
Linklater. Hamish
Linklater. He sounds so good as Batman. We're not showing the audio just because we want to make sure we don't get booted.
That version of Two-Face looks spectacular.
Yes.
Who's going to be voiced by Dietrich Bader.
Yes. That's exciting.
Okay, I don't know what was going on there, but clearly some kind of entity is going to take over Alfred.
I don't know.
Well, and how they even did the bat symbol right here.
Everything is
Yeah.
cool. Alfred just looks weird.
It is definitely very
but
different
he
visual
looks,
take
he
than
looks
Alfred.
weird.
It's evocative of the 1940s golden age, Alfred.
Yeah, something we haven't seen in a long time. So it's definitely like it's going to take some getting used to for a lot of fans, for sure.
Yeah, sure. Everybody's used to, thin Alfred.
Yeah, skinny white hair and wisecracking jokes, which you probably will. Well, not wisecracking jokes, but like being sarcastic. Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not turned off by that. It is definitely kind of jarring, but
It's very reminiscent
overall,
of, the old Batman, the animated series. It's got very similar.
yes,
It's different, but the same. But it's like you can see where there was some influence from it.
Oh yeah,
I
I mean,
absolutely.
it is
So what's the
drawn
response
by
to the cows? I know
Bruce
some of the
Wayne, so-
comments I've seen out there. A lot of people aren't too fond of like the ears, so to speak. Of how I mean, again, I understand. Wait. I understand the reference where it's being pulled from. I understand the time period. I'm interested in seeing this. I want to see this because again, I love the time period.
Yeah.
But that's like when obviously the wonderful world of social media. That's like the one thing. It's like, come on, guys. That's
Well,
the one
look at the ears
that
in
we're gonna
fucking,
pick apart.
Justice League Unlimited.
I agree.
That's
Yeah.
the same fucking ears.
I agree.
The ears and
I
killing.
mean,
Joke.
if that's the one thing you can pull from this trailer and complain about, well, then yeah,
Then
Yeah.
you don't have a whole lot to
Like, look at
complain
the
about.
ears in Batman Ninja. Holy shit!
I think it's time to open the door and go touch some
You
grass.
probably slide down them like a pole.
Look at the ears in Killing Joke.
I
It's,
hear
al-
you
it-
guys.
it's almost the same look. Damn.
Yeah,
near.
Sean. I don't see why you're having such a problem, Sean.
I know. Yeah, obviously.
Jeez, Sean, you hater.
Dawson, okay, boot him.
No, I think
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to watching Joker.
Honestly, I think if
I didn't think you ever stopped.
Sean, did you see all these people complaining on Twitter by chance, or was it any other form of social media?
I saw across. I saw on both, like primarily Twitter and Instagram. I mean, those are the two I
Okay.
primarily use,
Well,
right? So,
To that end, I will just say those people are fucking dumb.
hey man, I hear you. I hear you.
Like,
Yeah.
if you're really like reaching to find something to complain about in a spirited successor to Batman the Animated Series, you are looking to be fucking miserable at that point.
And like I said earlier, that's why that's why I said a couple minutes ago. I think you need to open your door and go touch some grass.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%. Dwayne, the voice of Batman, is a gentleman named Hamish
Bruce
Linklater. Hamish Linklater, who was in Midnight Mass on Netflix.
It was phenomenal in Midnight Mass.
So if you want some familiarity with that, with him as an actor, go ahead and check that out.
And Phil and I were talking about this earlier today that although it doesn't sound the exact same, Hamish Linklater in that trailer does a lot of voice work that is evocative of some of Kevin Conroy's performance as Batman.
And the
Like,
thing
again,
is, the reason why is Dawson and I were talking about this is because they both approached it from the very same mindset of like,
Yep.
Batman is the person, Bruce Wayne is the mask. And that's exactly how Kevin Conroy looked at voicing the character. And I'm very excited to hear what Hamish Linklater sounds like as Bruce Wayne too. Because his Batman voice is just even in these few seconds of what he sounds like, it's just phenomenal, absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, definitely a softer, slightly higher pitched voice, but overall it's like really good. Like you could tell he's very much trying to be covert and like also at the same time it's quiet and menacing, kind of like what Robert Pattinson was doing with his Batman, a little quieter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm down for it. Yeah, soft spoken maybe. I guess you can use that. I guess. Connor Dorian here. What's up, man? Has a $2 super chat. No explosion for you.
Thank you.
And yes, I have seen the trailer for the Penguin. Phil and I actually watched it the other day. Did anyone else see the latest trailer for the Penguin?
I saw a trailer for the Penguin. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm again also super stoked about that. A lot of good Batman stuff coming up here pretty soon with Cape Crusader, the Penguin, and I, as a Batman fan, am eating happy right now. So,
amen to that.
As the Batman 2 keeps with steady production, and Batman 2 just arrives sooner rather than later, but also them taking their time so they get quality product, then I'm fine with that, honestly. So,
amen to that. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, very exciting stuff.
Very good time to be a Batman fan because you've got Cape Crusader in August, right? Then you've got Penguin in September, and then you've got Joker in October.
True.
You've got literally 3 months of just straight up Batman feasting going on there.
Yeah.
Joker a little less so because we all know Batman's probably not going to show up in that, but still tangentially related to Batman.
Right. I
More
mean,
or
still,
less.
like, I have no doubt it's going to be a quality movie. Will
I
it be as
agree.
good as the first? We'll see. It's kind of hard to measure up to, but as Sean can attest. But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for all this stuff. It's going to be a good time. So,
Into that.
sticking with DC, there was something else that had set photos released this week, and that was James Gunn's Superman movie. And these set photos really set the internet ablaze with a lot of divisive takes and opinions on it. And I'm assuming everybody here has seen the pictures that we're talking
I've
about.
seen a lot of them, not all of them. But what's funny to me is that these set photos here, even though there's multiple, they did more for word of mouth than his stupid picture of him sitting on a fucking chair, putting his boot on.
True. A lot more
And
positive.
they actually sat down, fucking got the lighting right, fucking, put the, Solaris in the Solaris in the background and all that shit, and such a waste of their time because it fell on deaf ears. It was just dumb. So,
yeah.
But these images, do you have some?
I can pull them up really fast.
Sure.
Well, and one of the comparisons I saw was that if you look closely, especially around his shoulder, between that original drop image and these newer ones, it looks like they've already changed the suit up.
Well, also,
and the collar right here.
If we show these, we run the risk of getting hit with a copyright strike. Just FYI.
That's true.
The multiple suits is the different functionality for the suits. Like some are stunt suits, some are.
No, I know that. I'm just saying that's one of the
hero
things people
suits.
were calling out as, oh, this isn't the same suit. They've already kind of done away with one, and I'm like, no, guys. I mean, come on, we're still. I mean, they're filming. I mean, there's. It's
They're not
oh,
like,
just-
oh, we're
not
going to be
using one
reactionary
suit.
and make a new suit.
Yeah, they're not using one suit literally for the
Yeah.
entire film. There's going to be many suits.
This is
Hard
the
to hear
suit that
saying,
he
was it really
came
that
in-
divisive? I've seen it be pretty divisive. I've seen some people hate it vitriolically, and also I've seen people just praise up and down saying that's Superman, that's Superman. And I want us to give all our takes on the suit. Like Phil said, if we show them, we'll more likely get copyright strikes. We'll just avoid that. We've all seen it. But I want us to give all our takes. And I want to start by saying that I am on the middle ground with this suit right now. I like a lot of things about it. I like that it's paying tribute to the New 52 design with some of the lines and also the slight collar that it has with the wrists. I like that aspect about it. I like the Kingdom Come symbol. I don't think the trunks look that bad. I think they work okay. My main grief with this suit is, at least in the set photos, how it fits him.
Yep.
I think it does not sit on him well. I think it's a little padded. And honestly, kind of feels like the fabric they're using is retrofitted Guardians of the Galaxy suit fabric, which isn't form-fitting. It's more like a jacket. And so that's kind of a problem that I have with it. Again, a lot of the stuff I'm fine with. The colors are great. A lot of the patterns in it are great. The symbol, you just can't see the muscles on him, at least in these set photos. Now, whether or not they do some CGI touch-ups afterwards to make it look like it's more form-fitting, we'll see. I hope so. That way, like, it actually looks more muscular, because I prefer to have a Superman where you can tell he's muscular underneath. I feel like that's kind of a given for a lot of people, especially me being a visual person. As an artist, I'd like to see the muscular anatomy of Superman. I think that's something that most people want to see. Real quick, though, we got a $5 super chat from Raider. Real quick, here's an explosion. And his question is, in y'all's opinion, which suit did Trunks better? Brandon Ruth's Superman's return suit or David Cornsweat's? So far, I kind of lean towards David Cornsweat because the Brandon Ruth one kind of rides up really high on his legs.
Well, yeah, Ralph's was more like a Speedo.
Yeah.
It was more like a Speedo. And I did like the little touch of like the Superman symbol on the belt buckle. I was like, oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's not needed, but it was like, oh, okay, yeah. Because I didn't like the symbol on his chest either. I thought that was small, and I didn't like that it was 3D and just didn't look right. And it was like, it's just not going to fold well, you know, if he's moving around it a lot.
So I
But
guess
yeah.
with that, Ryan, what were your thoughts on the suit that you saw?
Can Sean and I answer that question first before we move on to Ryan's point about the suit? Because
sure.
just real quick,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
care because I think trunks look ridiculous either way.
Fair.
Okay, Sean, what do you think about the suit?
I wanted to wait. I just didn't know there was gonna be more to come.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No.
Especially
I would
trunks.
in terms of that question. That's what I mean. I don't really care
Oh,
either way.
gotcha.
I think they look ridiculous either way, no matter which actor it is.
I'm with Phil. Definitely
Yeah.
with Phil on that. So
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
I don't mind the trunks at all. I cool with if I don't mind Chris Reeves trunks, George Reeves trunks, Corn Sweat. I do. Just looking at it, it feels like the midsection is a little bit too. It's just too much. I think there should be a happy medium, and I think the belt is a little bit thick. I think that it looks more like it's built more for like kind of like a weight belt. It's just a little bit. It's a lot thicker than it needs to be, and it doesn't look quite right. It doesn't look horrible. Like looking at him, just just his whole figure. It's meant to break up the blue. That's the way it's. That they've used it in comics and back in the day when it was wrestlers or whatever where they got the inspiration from. It was meant to break up the the blue color and all that. Just sort of like here's the midsection. And this is why they're most superheroes are kind of modeled from that. I don't mind that it's there. I wish that the belt just makes it look kind of odd because it kind of like it looks like it sits right on his stomach instead of like below the stomach or just right above the the pelvis. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look bad, but I would have to go with Corn Sweats if I had to. If you out of Ralph and Corn Sweat, I would go Corn Sweat. Just because Ralph was more of a Speedo. It looked weird.
It did.
I like the red of the Corn Sweat suit versus the maroon of the Ralph suit. I think that
the leather maroon.
Yeah, I didn't like that much. I think that his cape is too long. And I don't think it should be as short as Chris Reeve because that was like right there where the boot was right here, right underneath the knee. That's where his cape stopped. I think it should go a little bit further, like Ralph. But I do prefer Corn Sweat's cape, and I don't mind the diamond on the back of it. I think it's fine. It's whatever.
I'm with it.
And the same thing with Chris Reeve. I like his, the diamond on the back of his. I liked what they did with Sasha Kaye. In that, they put the logo was on the back, no yellow, but just the logo was there. So it was kind of there, but sort of, you'd have to really pay attention to know that, there it is, because it didn't just stand out. But I did like that they incorporated, the S shield on the back. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think the logo on the front, I'd make it a little bit larger. I think it's a little bit too small. It's kind of, same thing with Ralph. I think his logo was way too small. It just a small, Superman or S logo or L logo or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't make him look as magnanimous as it could. Like if you look at the Man of Steel suit and it's got this nice big S,
Yeah.
And then you go and you look at the Justice League suit where it's a little bit smaller. I prefer the Man of Steel because it's just, again, it's that same this is fucking, this is my target. Fucking look at it. It's fucking target. It's huge. I don't like the
As she said.
what's his name? Dean Cain. I don't like Dean Cain's, super huge fucking S because that went from his navel, all the way up to, it was huge. And I was like, no, that's too much, too big. But I think that Corn Sweats could be just a tad larger on the front and also on the back. So,
yeah.
And I don't like the way that the top part of the suit looks as far as it doesn't like the same thing with Chris Reeve, man. He got jacked. You can't tell because they were using spandex in the day. You can't tell.
You can tell more than David Cornsweat though.
I mean, yes, you can, but because I think the material is a little bit thicker and it bunches up. Like in that photo of him putting on his boot, it kind of bunches up right here, where it creases, at the, between the pec and the shoulder. And it doesn't look right. And then when he's walking around, out there in those set photos or those behind the scene photos, it's the same kind of thing where you can't really see like this dude's been working out. Like, give him a better material. Like that's one thing I do like about like the Cavill suit is that like you can see his definition. And like you said, you like looking at men's definition. I think
that phrase it that way.
Well, it's his muscularity, musculature. I think that seeing that makes him a little bit more imposing. That's why I like Snyder's version of Batman in the gray versus always seeing a fucking Batman in black. Because with the gray, you can see like he's an imposing guy. He's buff. He's fucking ripped. That's what I want to see in my Batman. That's what would scare a criminal, in my opinion. Is to see that and like oh shit, there's something I can visually see that instills fear in me. And then he knows martial arts and he can do all this other shit and whatever. But I think that it's the same thing with Superman. Is like I want to see that like the being in the sun or being close to our sun, that makes him more dense and that makes his muscles kind of kind of pop a little bit or stand up more or have that rigid defined look. I want to see that in the suit. And I think that the material that they chose for the suit, for the blue part, it's just not really doing him justice.
Pun intended.
Yeah,
pun intended. Like with me, like I honestly lean towards the no trunks most of the time. In fact, almost all the time, unless you're like reading like a classic Superman. Like,
and I would have preferred that they had red here, red, but not. It didn't have to be trunks. Just some red here to sort of break it up a little bit, because I didn't like the way that the Man of Steel and the Justice League and the BVS suit kind of made it look like a onesie. Same thing with Kalia. It looked like a onesie. So sorry about that. Go ahead.
True. But yeah, overall, like I like a lot of the color aspects and lines, but again, it's just got to fit them better. And I prefer the skin tight suits. And are they saying I'm tired of the skin tight muscle suits? Or I mean like padded, padded suits? No. Like padded? Like if it's padded and it
the muscle suits, yeah, okay.
Sure. Muscle suits,
that's what he's
I
talking
agree.
about.
Like with Shazam.
I don't want to see the Marvel. This looks like a fucking Marvel suit that they just made for DC.
It does.
That's exactly it. This was made by people at Marvel Studios, and that to me is like the biggest, for the longest time, people kept complaining that they wanted the DCU to be like Marvel. Well, now you're getting exactly that, and look what we're getting.
Yeah, the fit is just not great.
That's just a taste of what I have to say. But go on.
Yeah, with Superman though, like for me, talking about like musculature, like when you're looking at a superhero, one of the things you look at again is how muscular they are, and there's like the V shape of the back, right? You got the muscles right here that form the V shape. There's nothing like that. It's a pencil. It is straight down with this suit from what we can see so far. Again, if they enhance it with CGI afterwards and it's just for functionality on set, then fine. I'm fine with that. One thing I will say real quick, Gilmer Eric Smith said, the Mr. Terrific suit looks flawless, in my opinion. I love it.
Looks very good.
Yes, looks very, very good. But yeah, the Superman suit, things I like about it, for me, leaves a lot to be desired. I need to see the final product. I need to see what they do in tweaks afterwards. But who else wants the floor? Sean, what were your thoughts?
Yes. Okay. So the crest on the cape, to me, I could do without. To be honest, I kind of liked the fact of with Henry Cavill's, how I just think it looked so much better without it. And I would have preferred that. Now, seeing that it's there, knowing that it will be there, I would prefer it be a little bit bigger, just like the symbol on the chest. I think it needs to be a little bit bigger. Not too much, but I mean, it looks very small. The suit, as soon as I saw these photos, I was like, oh, it's like we just modern, almost, it's different, but hear me out. It almost feels like a modernized version of 78. If you put the two together, put the two next to each other, looking at them, facing forward.
When you say, did you say modernized or
modernized?
Modernized. Sounds like marvelized. Okay.
Well, yeah, we can say marvelized as well. Yeah, for sure, we can do that too. But it definitely reminded me of 78. Sure. Now, the one thing that stood out, especially on some of the closer up pictures, especially of the crest on his chest, it looks nothing like the look, texture, color of everything we saw that very first image of it with the snow on the crest. If you remember, we got like months back from James Gunn.
Mhm.
It looks like that texture and everything's been completely changed. Now,
Either that or it's
I
just
could be-
lighting. Maybe
it could be the lighting, or it could just be something that they'll do in post, right? When it comes to color grading and all that. So I'm not sure if what I'm seeing is going to be the final. Like, is this what I'm going to see on screen? These
Yes,
exact
everything
colors.
that they took with their camera, that's what you're seeing.
Yeah. So, I'm not fully sold yet. I want to see. Like I said, when we got the first, image of him sitting, putting his boots on, looking like sad. I want to see a trailer. I want to see what I would expect to see in the film. Right? Is what I want to see. Now I'll pivot a little bit. The look of his Clark Kent. I'm not
that hair.
I won't go
mind
down
it.
this rabbit hole too much. Again, to me it's like, okay, I think we've only seen 1 or 2 of photos that have been released or captured at the Clark Kent version.
I'm hoping it's just a bad angle.
Yeah, so I'm waiting on that. I'm waiting to see, maybe to your point, Dawson, it could just be the angle, could just be whatever they were doing for that particular shot, or maybe it wasn't even a shot at all. So I'm definitely not going to pass judgment on that yet. But yeah, I do like one of the things I do like though is the cape, as far as how the cape attaches to him. I do like the collar. I don't mind that at all. And anyone who's ever heard me speak about the Kingdom Come, especially with Alex Ross. Alex Ross is one of my favorite artists. I love the Kingdom Come story. I love the crest, especially when Brandon was able to wear it. I'm more partial to like Ryan, what Ryan has, and like what I have on my hat is the red and black versus this red and gold. I'm good with it because it's one of my favorites, but I still would have loved the red and black. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it until we can see something more, like you said, more finalized.
Yeah, as far as the hair is concerned, like I'm so fucking tired of the pomade Superman. Like my favorite is Man of Steel. It's just like it was flowing, free flowing, all that. BBS and Justice League, and now this. It's just like, I mean, and same thing with Brandon Routh and Reeve as well. I'm so tired of like the like slick fucking hair. Yeah. I'm just like, just all Superman has to have is fucking curly hair. That's it. That's or wavy hair rather. Sorry, wavy hair. And that's fine. And that's it. It doesn't have to be fucking like non-movable. Like you don't need fucking, fucking Fop or Dapper Dan. And you have to fucking put that shit in your fucking hair before you hold on, before I travel, to Metropolis, I've got to put this pomade in there. I just let him have regular fucking hair.
Yeah. And like I've seen a lot of people say, well, Clark Kent and Superman are supposed to look different. That is true. They're supposed to like have some distinction there. But I think with the set photos we've seen so far, again, it could just be a bad angle, or it could just be like maybe they're messing with the hair a little bit. I don't know. But when you try to go that drastic, like, because there's a suspension of disbelief when it comes to Superman and the separation between Superman and Clark Kent. There is definitely that suspension. And curly up here and like really kind of ridiculous, and it almost looks like it's a different length than his regular hair when he's Superman. So it's like, what the heck is going on? Again, I'll wait to pass further judgment on the hair specifically until we see it more like in a scene or something. But the first look, not a great one for Clark Kent, in my personal opinion. But Phil, I feel like Phil's about to boil over here.
Okay. So let me just preface by saying set photos 9 times out of 10 never do the final product any justice. We've seen this with Shazam. We've seen it with the Batman. We've seen it with a couple different movies. Okay.
Yeah.
And even to Sean's point, like I really want to see like a trailer. I want to see things in movement. I want to see how it's actually color graded. I don't need to see schlocky fucking background photos taken by some yup for just Jared. All that said, I have almost nothing nice to say about David Corenswet's Superman. I have almost nothing nice to say about any of this at all. I think, granted, I think Rachel Brosnahan coming out as Lois Lane, I think that's good. I think Eddie Gethegi looks terrific as Mr. Terrific, pun intended. I think, honestly, I don't know what to make of that other stuff with, the engineer and that dude in the black noir suit with the giant U. I don't know if that's Ultraman Ulysses. I don't really know. I don't really care. I think, and honestly, the whole Superman being It's escorted by the army with handcuffs. I'm like, where have I seen this before?
Yep.
And even to Sean's point, modernized 78, I'll take it a step further. That suit looks bland as fuck.
Yep.
That symbol looks flat and uninspiring. And don't even get me started on that shitty perm for Clark Kent. Oh my God. That looked horrendous. And don't get me wrong. Yeah, Dawson's right. There should absolutely be a suspension of disbelief between Clark Kent and Superman. But oh my God, could James Gunn be doing try hard energy to the max right now? Abso-fucking-lutely. That looked terrible. It looks bad, regardless if it's a set photo or not. If his Clark Kent looks like that, I'm sorry, but that is fucking ridiculous. And I've been watching Superman and Lois. I've seen Man of Steel. I've even seen the 78 movies. Oh my God. It is not hard to look at both of those versions, all those versions of those characters, and they don't really even have to try to distinguish. This is Clark Kent. This is Superman. You really have to try that hard to give him a messy ass perm to just really differentiate between it's Clark Kent. I think it looks fucking ridiculous. That's what I'm kind of coming to. And honest to God, it looks corny as shit. I can't stand it. I think Superman looks fucking ridiculous in this movie. Honestly, I'm more excited for the supporting cast than I am Superman, and that's kind of a problem.
I can feel that. And you mentioned the guy in the black suit that we're not really sure of yet, but it's rumored to be either Ultraman or Ulysses, or even there's even people suggesting that could be.
So I think it's somebody from the right.
Midnighter.
He's in that other crew, right?
Look, it very well could be Midnighter. It could be Ulysses. It could be Ultraman. I don't really know. Frankly, I don't give a fuck. There's really not much in this movie that is instilling so much excitement for me, because everything James Gunn has said, every comic he's pulling from outside of All-Star, and even the things Peter Safran has said about it, truth, justice, and the American way, classic Superman, blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, I don't fucking care. We're taking this a step back. It's literally a step back. And maybe that's because I'm watching Superman and Lois, which is essentially like almost Man of Steel year 15, year 20, where he's got kids and Lois is, they're grown and whatnot. And I don't know. I just feel like there's such a more modern worldwide way you can do Superman. And this is just taking it all the way back to the Metropolitan Truth, Justice, American Way hero. And I don't give a flying rat's ass. I don't. And also, this is coming from the guy who turned Adam Warlock into a bumbling fucking idiot. And Adam Warlock is one of my favorite characters in Marvel Comics. I love what he does with the Soul Stone. And James Gunn turned him, like many other characters, into a fucking joke. And honestly, I could see a lot of other ancillary characters in this movie making nothing but jokes, because James Gunn cannot help himself when it comes to that. He makes jokes. That's his stick, and that's fine. If anyone's excited for this movie, don't let my opinion sway you. I'm not trying to sway anybody, but this is just how I feel. Maybe I'm a little biased because I have already gotten the Superman movie that I wanted to see all my life in 2013, because I look at Superman very, very differently than a lot of these other gatekeeping fanboys do. But at the same time, I can't help but look at the set photos of this movie and just think to myself, oh my fucking God, this movie is not made for me. This is clearly a James Gunn Superman film. Toby Emmerich did, in fact, get the last laugh. Congratulations. All you fanboys who bitched, moaned, and groaned for all these last 10 years, you're finally getting something that you want. It's probably going to be mediocre, but whatever. Y'all chalked up Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and the Suicide Squad as they were the best shit since baked bread anyway. So feast on your shit. Take your pick. Not for me. I'm good. I'll wait till Lanterns. This has been my film.
All right.
Oh, we forgot to do the drop.
Simmering words from Phil. And like, look, I'm right there with you. When it comes to Superman movie, like, I am not seeing anything that makes me be like, yes, I want to see this movie like day one. I haven't seen anything that's like that. And I'm a big Superman fan. I love reading Superman comics. In fact, I rewatched Man of Steel the other day while I was working on a comic page, just because I love that movie. And also, again, Superman 78, love that movie. And My Adventures of Superman, I need to, sit down and binge watch that. Been meaning to. But yeah, I got to piggyback on the whole
that right there,
with the Clark Kent thing.
My Adventures with Superman is bringing is revitalizing Superman in a modern context, like starting from the early days, but doing it from a modern perspective. That show right there is a great example of how to do it. What I've seen from these set photos instills absolutely zero confidence whatsoever in me in this movie. I'm just nope. Well, I'm gonna watch it. Don't get me wrong. I will do my due diligence and we will talk about it on the show. I will watch this movie, right? But at the same time, I don't have any excitement for it. I don't have, like, really, the excitement is non-existent for me. Like when I am more interested in seeing the ancillary characters, the supporting cast, as opposed to the main character whose fucking title is on the name of this movie, that is a problem. Maybe it's just a me problem, and I can admit that. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of other DC fans on the internet are like scrounging and just ball gargling James Gunn because they've been so starved for a Superman movie, and they will literally take anything they can get, regardless of the quality of the end product.
Yeah, like when it comes to Clark Kent's hair, that's when, like, again, could possibly be a bad angle. I don't know. But it, like you said, Phil, it feels like maybe James Gunn's kind of overcompensating a little bit for trying to separate Clark Kent and Superman, which for me is not all that important. I honestly couldn't give a rip if Superman looks almost identical minus the glasses if he's Clark Kent. I don't care, because to me, a lot of the time, Superman moves faster than anyone can really see a lot of the time, and he's all over the place, flying everywhere. Like, who's going to really get that close to look on his face? But like, hey, it looks like Clark Kent from the Daily Planet. I mean, honestly, unless you're...
I just watched the episode where Clark reveals his secret identity as Superman to Lana Lang. He literally takes his glasses off and floats up in the air, and Lana has that, oh, fuck, you're Superman moment. It's that simple. The glasses should be enough. He doesn't need a fucking messy hair. And I do like even Ryan pointed this out on an earlier episode. All Christopher Reeve had to do was just hunch over and put glasses on, and boom, that was it. And you actually had to act and sell it. But then when he took the glasses off and stood up straight, what happened? What did Lois Lane do? Oh my God, you're Superman. It's about presentation. It's not about fucking aesthetic. It's about presentation. And honestly, again, I'm being superbly judgmental over a fucking set photo. I understand that. But if this film has him looking like that as Clark Kent, my hands are in the air. I'm just like, yep, nope, I'm good. Don't care.
I'll have a hard time taking that seriously too.
Yeah, I that's exactly it. I have a hard time taking it seriously because, and honestly, to all the fanboys who are like, "Oh my God, this is Clark Kent," please, by all means, pull up a comic book where Clark Kent has a fucking perm, please.
Well, it's funny you say it, because I've seen many people say they feel like this version of Clark Kent and Superman has literally been taken, quote, off the comic book pages.
They all do that, and they show pictures of like
they all do that, and I think
they do that for any comic book character. They'll bring up a photo from a comic, and they'll be like, "Look, it's exactly the same," and it's like, no, it's not. And it doesn't matter who the fuck it is. Doesn't matter what character it is. Doesn't matter if it's Bruce Wayne, if it's Clark Kent, if it's Peter Parker, if it's fucking J. Jonah Jameson. Then it doesn't fucking matter to be like, "Oh, look, it's the exact same." Like, dude, these are fucking like lines drawn on a page.
Correct.
And these, they don't have features. They don't, it's like, dude, at the end of the fucking day, man, these are fucking actors that are hired to play a fucking fictional character.
Yeah,
like, who fucking really cares that fucking much? Who fucking cares? Dude, this is just meant to be
entertainment.
And if it's entertaining, then they did their job. If it's not entertaining, then they did not do their job.
Yeah,
that's it. It boils down to that, dude. Did watching that medium, watching that show, watching that performance entertain you, or did it fucking take you out of it? Did it disappoint you because they didn't do a proper job, or didn't give you the a great story or a great iteration of what you grown to love? People take stuff that that are being presented to them, and they put on a standard of something crazy and weird, and it's like, well, who else is putting this standard? This
well, they're holding it up on a pedestal is what they're doing.
Right, and they're saying, hey, you know what, it needs to be like this, and if it's not like this, then we have a problem. Now some critique is it does make sense, like, you don't want, Clark Kent to be some, balding, fat 40-year-old guy that's got no muscles, and it would be really hard to get him in a suit. Like, oh no, that's not Superman. But it would be, I'd be remiss if they didn't say, hey, you know what? Here's a guy that looks very similar to what you've seen in the comic books, and this is a great story that entertained you. People go crazy for stupid shit.
They do. I think it goes both ways too. People like overcompensate. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. Or they'll like.
Some people do that too because they have either ulterior motives, They're not being genuine because of either, you know, there's some catalyst that's making them say X, Y, and Z, and that's both ways, positive and negative. You know, some people's like, yeah, you know, I want to be a part. I want to feel like I'm a part of the group, so I'm going to say yes to what you guys are saying because I can't think for myself. Or you know, it's everybody wants to belong to some fucking group or some fucking like way of thinking or whatever, and they want to like look down on these, you know, the other group and say I know better than you because of X, Y, and Z or whatever.
People are afraid to stand with their own thoughts.
Honestly,
even.
Like even taking that into consideration, a case in point, like look at the amount of people who once James Gunn was named head of DC Studios, immediately it was a political rally, just put on a shirt that said James Gunn DC. And just immediately we're like, whatever he does is going to be better than what came before. And why would they say that? Because they didn't like what came before, sure, but because of some kind of dumbass ulterior motive or some personal vendetta against, you know, more or less Zack Snyder and everything else that came with him and what he was trying to do with DC. And then the complete and utter fumbling and failing Warner Brothers did following the, you know, departure of him from the DC extended universe. Believe me. It is as I have said and tried to make clear before, despite some people in the chat thinking I'm just trying to fucking hate. No, if you're excited for this movie, more fucking power to you. But to Sean and Ryan and Dawson's point, the people who are literally putting this shit up on a pedestal, acting as if it is going to be the greatest shit since baked bread, I'm sorry, but you're being fake. There's no way around it. You're being a gatekeepy fake fan. There's no other way around it, especially if you have like the gall to say, wow, look at this photo of Lois Lane and Superman. This is going to be so much better. These characters already have better chemistry than than Henry Cavill and Amy Adams. How the fuck can you even come to that conclusion based off of one set photo without an iota of footage to go off of? That's asinine and it's gatekeepy is what it is. And I have seen that.
And I love freshly baked bread, so
it's hard to top that,
right?
Real quick, we'll get the super chat, and then Sean, I don't know if we got your full thoughts yet. We'll get to that right after.
Yeah, go ahead, do the super chat. Yeah,
is Dwayne Jackson here? Let's give you an explosion once again. And I think we've addressed this before, but if Superman,
I don't think Dwayne was here when we did, but when we were talking about Fantastic Four, it was a long. This was the sort of the point that I was trying to get toward, or back then,
where he'll appear every now and then, but if it failed miserably, which I don't know,
he'll become the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, he'll appear every now and then, but like, they won't shelve him completely. But
it is a little different. But
there's no other studio. But yeah, no, I mean, he'll just kind of pop in and pop out just for continuity purposes. He won't have a Superman 2.
And if that's if it fails, which again could be a big if. Once again, thank you so much, Dwayne. You're awesome. And Sean, the floor is yours to get your full thoughts on this.
I mean, a lot of what I mean. I'm when it comes to stuff like this, Phil and I are pretty aligned. If you're excited for this, hey, I'm happy for you. Understanding, not everyone has to be excited for it. If you're excited for it, don't force that onto others who aren't excited for it or aren't fully, you know, over the moon, on board, whatever, whatever descriptive word you want to give it. I'll watch it because I know we'll eventually talk about it here or on other shows. Whatever, I know some of us go on other shows and we'll talk, and it'll be talked there as well. So, I mean, I want to have my own formed opinion of it, right, wrong, or indifferent. But thus far, from what I've seen, I'm not feeling I'm going to rush to already be like, yeah, this is going to be the greatest Superman iteration I've seen, live action, right? And I've said I grew up on 78. I grew up on those films, and then obviously all of the various TV versions that we saw, and then Henry came, Zack Snyder came on with his version, which I enjoyed because it felt much more, I don't want to say grounded, but maybe grounded is the right word, and much more a Superman that was dealing with moral and consequences.
It's issues. Relatable. I think the word
very relatable.
Relatable.
Exactly. Versus, from the Superman we've seen in live action, where it does feel much more comic book-y, right? Where you don't have that relatable real life consequence things. I mean, not to say that those things are happening, but it just doesn't resonate to me as easy. And when I see these set photos, that's what I'm already envisioning. I'm already envisioning a version of 78 or a version of a more comic book driven. And some of the things, Dawson, you even mentioned, like how the suit looks, how it fits. It does remind me very much of like something Quill would have wore in Guardians of the Galaxy, like a jacket he would have put on. This guy put in a lot of work. We've seen the photos of him putting in the work to get in shape for this. Let him, show that off, right? I mean, Henry, when we saw what Henry went through to get in shape, and obviously the suit wasn't like one of those skin tights. There was padding in there, right? Obviously so, but I think some of that though was obviously him too. I mentioned this, I think, when the first photo came out, whatever show that was. My concern then and my concern now is, what are the other characters gonna look like in their costumes?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's very strange that Mr. Terrific looks better than Superman.
Exactly,
he does,
and that you would think it'd be the exact opposite, right? And that's not the case. So I see Superman like this, and I think, well, geez, what are the other ones going to look like now? They're going to be similar, more this Marvel look. But to Phil's point earlier, James Gunn, this is a James Gunn style Marvel, so this is what you all asked for. This is what you're going to get. So it's almost like don't complain about it now that you're getting what you were asking for. Well, this is what you're going to get. So it's like one of those things where now you need to kind of live with that decision. So
one of the cool things is that, like, if we, just like Mr. Terrific, if we get to see Nathan Fillion, at least that'll give us sort of an idea of what the Lanterns might look like.
Right. Exactly.
True.
Yeah. Great point. So, absolutely. And even Hawkgirl, like, as I've said here, and as I've said before, I am more interested in seeing the other characters as opposed to Superman in his own movie. And that's kind of a problem. And I know I'm not alone in that, obviously, because like Mr. Terrific, Eddie Gathegi is a fantastic actor. He was great in First Class and he's been great elsewhere. And, Isabella Merced, also fantastic actress in her own right. And then Nathan Fillion, take your pick. But yeah, like him as Guy Gardner, that's spot on casting. You get a dirtbag to play a dirtbag at that point. So yeah, will he have the bowl cut? Probably. What will his Green Lantern suit look like? I'm very curious. Will it be Justice League International where he's just got the vest, or is it going to be something a little more Young Justice-y where it's just a tank top? I don't know. I'm very curious to see what he looks like. And honestly, the guy playing Anthony Kerrigan playing Metamorpho, I love Metamorpho. Metamorpho is on Batman and the Outsiders. He's one of my favorite characters in that run. So getting to see him in live action is going to be pretty cool. And I don't doubt that one of James Gunn's strengths is using these C and D listers and telling a great story with them. But I feel like when it comes to some of these bigger characters, maybe not so much. That's entirely subjective too. Obviously, a lot of people feel very strongly about the Guardians trilogy. They feel very strongly about the Suicide Squad film as opposed to the first film David Ayer tried to get out, right? But it's just, everyone has a preference on James Gunn. Some people think that he's, one of the best comic book directors of all time, and I'm of the mind that he really isn't. And for me, he's 2 and 2. I like 2 of his comic book films, and I don't like 2 of his comic book films. Yeah. Right. So it's really just like, Superman's going to be the tiebreaker for me. And honestly, based on what I've seen, I feel like it just might be 2 I might like, 3 I might not. I don't know. But he's also got Frank Grillo coming in as Rick Flag. Okay, when someone said at the
Rick Flag Senior,
correct? Yes, when. It was just recently they showed off Creature Commandos somewhere. Gunn said that some of these characters will be appearing in Superman. My immediate first thought was Rick Flag Sr. Because why else would Frank Grillo be? Obviously, he's going to be in Peacemaker Season 2. But if you're going to have him show up there and that takes place directly after Superman, then all signs would also kind of point to, okay, Rick Flag Sr. is also probably in this movie too. Which, if he's in this movie, is Amanda Waller in this movie too? Is Viola Davis somewhere else? Because she's his boss, more or less. So,
will she show up like a hologram from Black Adam?
Right. I think the only other question I'll have, and this will be my final point on this topic, is I wonder if Superman was the right first film to do.
I can agree with that.
Especially, and I'm not, and this isn't solely based on this, but it's part of it, especially after the whole handling of Henry. You have a lot of people that still have that open, you have a lot of fans that love Henry's iteration that still have that open wound. We heard the reboot fairly quick, and then we heard Superman was going to be the first film James was going to do, which already kind of set it up for those fans to totally disregard it. But now that we see more of this, I tend to think, well, maybe the studio, maybe they were pushing James, saying, no, we want you to do Superman first. And maybe it was just James saying, no, I want to do Superman first. But I wonder, was Superman the right choice to do? Like all these other characters that are going to be in this movie, why
better?
Why not even do some of those first, right? And then build up to Superman. Let some time pass between these two versions, and maybe you can get more people on board with what you're trying to do.
I'll do you one better, Sean. I don't disagree with where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I do think that there is that is an absolutely valid question to ask. Was Superman the right movie to be made first, following everything that happened with the DCEU?
Yep.
The answer could go either way.
Absolutely.
But I'll even say this. Was James Gunn the right choice to direct a Superman movie first out the gate?
I agree with that.
Which we'll end up seeing. Yeah.
And, you know, when you become the head of a studio and then you've got your hand in this pie, that pie, it almost feels very self-serving.
Yep.
And I know people in the chat are probably going to fucking hate hearing that, but it's true. Even Greg Silverman was like, look, if you just became the head of a studio and you're basically giving yourself projects, you're just giving yourself a pat on the back at that point. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but there is some truth to that. Like, I can't help but think, had someone else tackled Superman, we could be having very different conversations right now.
Well, remove James Gunn's name from that whole scenario you just say, if an individual did this, if an individual was ahead of the studio and then they started doing all this, do you think that'd be the best? I think majority of the people would say no. That's, to your point, self-serving. But it's once you put a name to it, then you get, oh no, it's James Gunn, absolutely not. Or no, it's Zack Snyder, absolutely not. I mean, you're gonna get those on. It's very hard to find the middle people that will say, yeah, I'm a fan, but I also don't agree with the fact that they should be so involved in everything. I mean, bring people in, bring smarter people in, creative people in to do these things, and you kind of just be that overseer, the architect, and just, you know, step in, step out type thing. But let them cook, right? So
right, you know,
anyways.
like how many movies has Kevin Feige directed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yep.
None. He's produced all of them. He's the architect behind the universe, sure, but he's never directed a single movie.
Yeah.
But you know, James has a huge, and a lot of people in Hollywood do. They have a huge ego,
Sure.
And that's why he's attached himself to writing, you know, the Peacemaker show and you know, attaching himself to, I think even the Creature Commandos, writing some episodes of that.
He wrote and I think directed a few of them. Yeah.
And you know, doing the flagship, like, I've got to get this thing going, because he just has that, like, you know, it's me. And but I mean, to your point,
also,
it's like, you know,
real quick, remember when it was first announced that there was a new Superman movie, it was announced that he was writing it. They didn't say if he was going to direct it, but Peter Safran was like, I'm pushing him to direct it. Did he really want to direct it, or was he pushed into directing?
He didn't want to direct it because they brought him over to the studio right after Disney, and they were like, hey, we've got a couple of projects. Superman was one of them.
Right. And he chose
Suicide Squad down.
Right.
He chose Suicide Squad over that. And then when he was going to helm or you know, have, you know, this you know, the keys of the kingdom or whatever, you know, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do this flagship character, because they had already broken ground on Matt Reeves' Batman. So you're not going to start a new DCU or whatever with another Batman on top of the Batman that you just already did. And so who's your next flagship character? Wonder Woman? Like, you know, Gal, you know, she brought, you know, light to it or whatever. And, you know, they did great on one film, but then the other films that she's been in have kind of, you know, flopped or whatever. So Wonder Woman's not as huge a character that people can grasp onto. This, I guess the Harley Quinn is more popular than Wonder Woman in the DC universe, and she brings in more money than, and that's why she's going to be in the Joker movie or whatever that comes out in a couple months. And they weren't able to do Supergirl because they just had Sasha, so they couldn't do that. Nope. So, you know, yes, their play was to it just rip the Band-Aid, just like they did with Ben Affleck. Throw Pattinson and Reeves together, make a Batman, make him forget it, throw Keaton in this other movie, whatever we can do to rip that Band-Aid off and say, hey, get the fans onto something else. And they have. Yeah. And so now people are like, where's Batman 2? I want that or whatever. So same thing with this. They're like, okay, fucking rip the Band-Aid off. Was Gunn the best person for this job for Superman? I say no. I'm glad if I'm proven wrong. I didn't resonate with his Suicide Squad movie. Didn't like it. His Guardians of the Galaxy was hit and miss in the movies. Like, I liked part 1 the best of the 3, but there were things in part 1 that I didn't like. Part 2, there were things in there I didn't like. Part 3, there were things in there that I didn't like. But I mean, part 1 was the strongest of the 3 for me for him. Didn't watch Peacemaker because, you know, Anthony and Phil were like, that's fucking trash. And I was like, you know what? I just got done watching the Suicide Squad. I don't really care about Peacemaker. I don't really care about John Cena. I've seen John Cena and other shit. He's not the greatest fucking, you know, person or whatever, as far as like, you know, being an actor. And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch it. Haven't watched it, and I'm better for it. But him directing a Superman movie, I'm like, okay, how much fucking, you know, like Phil said earlier, all he does is he's just like fucking Taika Waititi. He thinks he's funnier than he is.
And let's also asterisk that. Yes, they bank on their humor more often than not.
Yeah.
But let's also not discount that these guys can tell stories that have heartfelt, that have some heart to them, especially if the guy can make you give a fuck about a talking raccoon. But the thing to remember is a talking raccoon and Superman are two wildly different characters with wildly different histories already. So it's going to be he's got the deck stacked against him in terms of wanting to make people give a shit about Superman, especially after how badly Warner Brothers fumbled the ball Justice League going forward.
And honestly, like when it comes to like James Gunn, I'm with a lot of you guys. He's very hit and miss for me as far as movies. His first Guardians of the Galaxy, for me, it's one of the best examples of modern escapism in a movie.
Sure.
Just really, really great as far as exploring the Marvel universe and galaxy. Second one, a step back. Third one, parts of it I liked. Rocket's story was really intriguing. And if it was just about Rocket's backstory, I would have loved that movie a lot more than I did. Suicide Squad, I'm with you guys. Didn't really like that one from him. The humor just wasn't for me. And then Peacemaker, I wish I could say
story was shit.
Yeah.
For what?
For Suicide Squad.
The story I wasn't as mad about. It's just the story. Well, not mad, but I thought it was okay enough.
It was. You know, I've read a lot of John Ostrander's Suicide Squad, and if I compare the two movies, even the studio version of the first movie that David Ayer directed, like I feel like David Ayer kind of understood the concept of the Suicide Squad a bit more than James Gunn did, because James Gunn just kind of made the title the movie, in that you had a bunch of these C and D listers and he kills off the majority of them right early on in the movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, he even went so far as to kill Captain Boomerang and Rick Flag Jr. in this film as well. And I feel like for me, it was kind of unfortunate to watch Captain Boomerang die because I really like Jai Courtney in that role. But the bigger one that I'm still kind of bitter about is killing Rick Flag. I really like Joel Kinnaman in that role, and I'm really disappointed that he's dead, especially by way of Peacemaker. But I will say his final line, you know, Peacemaker, what a fucking joke. That's exactly how I feel about the character. And I think Ryan and I can attest to that we're just not fans of that dick and bubble fart humor in comic book films. And the sad part is a lot of comic book fans eat that shit up. They like that dick and bubble fart bullshit. And it's honestly
like Peacemaker standing in his fucking underwear for 20 minutes of the damn, you know, I was like, what are we doing here?
And honestly, I watched the first 3 episodes of Peacemaker just to like kind of do my own due diligence, but like I couldn't make it past that. I could not make it past that just because, again, that's the immature humor at its greatest. And also
I can laugh at immature humor. Look at fucking, like, you know, a lot of funny Jim Carrey movies.
I guess, you know, juvenile is a better way to describe it. Yeah, juvenile is a better way to describe it. And I pointed this out on the show before, that it became very apparent to me that a lot of James Gunn's protagonists have a lot in common, specifically Star-Lord and Peacemaker. Heck, they even both had a mission where they risked their lives to recover some retro music in some form, whether it be cassette tape for Guardians of the Galaxy or vinyl records for Peacemaker. And someone chews them out afterwards, like, you risk your life for that? That's so freaking stupid, which is true. There's a lot of the similarities that I've illustrated before between those two that I don't feel like getting into just because I've done it so many times. But again, for Superman, if it comes out and it's great, awesome. I'm a Superman fan. I'll enjoy that. If it's great, awesome. If it goes the way that I kind of think that it will, I probably won't like it as much. It probably will not make it into my top 2 or 3 Superman movies, or even top 4. But again, I'm in a situation where it's like, I want to see a trailer, I want to see the movie, and we'll see how it is from there. With that, I think we could, since we don't have that much time left, about 20 minutes, I do want to get to our last topic of the day.
Yeah,
because I think I guess, were there any final thoughts on the Superman set photos?
No, I don't.
Before we move on,
Nope. All's
I
good.
don't need to talk about those ever again. Honestly.
Okay, fair enough. With that, our last topic is reviewing the latest episode of Disney Plus's Star Wars: The Acolyte.
So we're
I
going
missed
off
out
on a low note, right? That's how we're ending. We're ending on a low note.
I guess so. I haven't been able to talk about episodes 3 and 4 yet, so I'll give that.
I just have to say I was right.
I feel like most people were right.
Yeah, most people were right.
But so episodes 3 and 4 for me, I wasn't huge on. I feel like the acting was pretty poor. I feel like there was a lot of poor dialogue, which again, being Star Wars, kind of par for the course in some instances, especially with the prequels. But with that being said, some poor dialogue. The witch ceremony, the ascension ceremony, to me was pretty cringy.
Oh, you're going over the whole thing, not just the episode 5,
3 and 4, 3 and 4.
Oh,
I said that.
He
You
wasn't
just
here
weren't
for 3 and
listening.
4. He wasn't here for 3 and 4.
Right, yeah.
So I'm just
He's been
briefly
avoiding
having
us.
my thoughts on it because I had to sit down and binge
Go ahead.
the first 3 and 4
Mhm.
yesterday early in the day, and then I watched episode 5 later on. But 3 and 4, I wasn't very high on. I still love the character Soul, Master Soul. I think he's the best character in the entire show.
He's the only
far.
character in the show.
Yeah, it feels like that sometimes.
I want to watch him. I feel like
Mhm.
he's really trying. He's really trying to emote. He's an actor.
Yes.
With the other
Yeah.
people, they're just reading their lines. It doesn't. When you watch him, he sort of invokes
Mhm.
or evokes like emotion when he's talking
Yes.
and when he's
Sure.
I really dig it. But
Yeah.
I wish more.
There's not a lot else
actors
happening
were like
acting wise from other actors besides him. But yes, 3 and 4, nothing really much to say. It's just not the greatest. Pretty much snooze fests. Even though I don't need like a bunch of action to be entertained, but like it just was like, okay, fine. And I'm not gonna like go too hard on the kids that are acting as young Osha and May, because when it comes with kid actors, like you kind of have to give them some grace just because
Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd's, yeah, great example. And yeah, it just wasn't a lot of inspiring or great dialogue or anything like that. But moving on to episode 5, which of course we'll all give our thoughts on, I felt like it was a lot more exciting. The action sequences were a breath of fresh air. I thought the action and the fight between the Jedis, or the Jedi, I guess plural, and the Sith, which
Jedis
as RJ, yeah, Jedis is, but as RJ puts in the chat, most obvious reveal ever. I think the fight was pretty dang entertaining. That was the best part of the series so far for me. The fight sequences were really well choreographed, better choreographed than a lot of stuff in the sequel trilogy. That part at least was entertaining. But yeah, the villain reveal was very weak. I feel like most people saw it coming. I was convinced it was one of two people. I thought it was either going to be, was it Quimir is his name?
Quimir, yeah.
Quimir.
Either Quimir, or it was going to be the mother of the twins who had the horns. I thought it was one of those two.
Coral.
Yeah, Coral. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
I was convinced it was going to be one of those two. And lo and behold, most of the people were pretty much convinced that Quimir was the guy.
And I've seen the theory that it was the mother, but they very clearly state that the Sith Master was a he. So I immediately,
that's true.
Like
that made me question that later in that episode, and then of course they reveal it.
I think for me, I even wrote a very tiny review because there really wasn't much to this episode outside of a lot of the action. The dialogue was minimal, but the action and the reveal were really the biggest, points of conversation in regards to this episode. And I'm with you, Dawson. I feel like the action and the Jedi fighting was superb. I mean, despite the fact that the reveal of it being Quimir, I was like, damn it, because it was so obvious, and I didn't want that to be the case. I was really hoping it was a bait and switch. I was hoping someone else was going to come in and it was going to be this completely different character, and it's going to be kind of a bait and switch. Like everyone thought it was going to be Quimir, and then it's not, and then everyone's like, oh, who the fuck is this? No, it's him. And it was set up very obviously and very deliberately, and I see that now, and I'm like, well, all right, okay, whatever.
Well, and also the fact that in this episode, he basically calls himself a Sith, which there was a lot of people saying like, oh, well, Ki-Adi-Mundi said they hadn't seen Sith in a millennium. People were like, well, technically he's not a Sith. Well, now he's basically said he's a Sith. Right. So that's a big problem if so.
Well, they'll do some mental jumping jacks on that, because he was like, you might call me a Sith. Maybe.
Yeah.
He wasn't really like I'm a Sith bitch. He wasn't like, well, this is who I am. This is what I'm studying. And this lady over here is my master.
Well, now the question begs, like, where does his force powers come from? Who was his prior master? How did he find
I
May?
think it's the
like
green painted lady.
There's a lot of questions to be asked now that we know he is in fact the Sith Lord. And honestly, he laid waste to pretty much everybody. Yeah. He went to town, and the fact he fucking didn't even use a lightsaber, he just snapped Yord's neck. I was like, fuck, that's brutal.
That was surprising to me that they got rid of Yord like that.
Yeah. Right.
I thought what they did with him, I was like, that's fucking stupid. Number one, they slice him in the fucking thigh, right? And he's walking around like he didn't get sliced in the fucking thigh with a fucking lightsaber. He's walking around, and they use these motherfuckers like they're flashlights. And he's like walking around like, what the fuck, and she's like, no, we got to go back. No, because you got to go die. And I was like,
you got to go die.
Pretty much. Because it was like, dude, he's supposed to be injured. She should be like on, under his arm, fucking helping him because
because in episode 2, when Obi-Wan got his thigh even slightly cut by Count Dooku, he was immobile.
Yes,
like he wasn't able to walk around.
When fucking Wookiee fucker got sliced in the fucking belly, he fucking died. But the fucking trees that they fucking chopped, they fell the opposite way that fucking physics work, and I thought that was stupid. But it was sliced like this, and they fell back like that, and I was like, "The fuck?" Like that's weird. I guess physics work different in Star Wars, but okay. You could tell that they were fighting on a set because they started the fight, they ended the fight at the same 3 fucking trees, and that was stupid. And look, choreography, awesome, fucking great. I thought that like you said, they did better than the sequel trilogy. They did better than a lot of things. I thought the little Padawan, I thought she was way better than she should have been. I thought she was fucking awesome. Her getting killed did shock me. I was like, oh, shit. That's the only thing that shocked me in the whole fucking season. That Yord. Okay, Yord snapping the neck, that also shocked me. But the fucking lightsabers, they were like, this ain't working. What about yours? Mine's not working. And then they fucking start working at the same fucking time.
That's
the same fucking time they start working again.
In fairness,
have we ever had that malfunction?
These are older model lightsabers, so they're not.
They look like the reason for that. They look like the shit that you buy at fucking Star Wars Celebration.
Hold on, let him go on his rant.
No, the hilts do look weird, but the reason for them shorting out,
they should.
They do, but the reason for them shorting out, I did hear, and this was actually kind of interesting, is that Queen Mira was actually using this metal that was established in like books of Star Wars that is very resistant to lightsaber blades and also makes them short out temporarily. So like there's kind of a callback to some older stuff.
It's not in the fucking show, so it doesn't exist. It's not in the fucking show.
I think they referenced to it.
And I mean, I'm sorry, but from episode 2, like Phil said, like you said, I mean, he fucking discount Ezra Miller is fucking.
That's what you were working on.
I never said that.
He is the fucking Sith.
Yeah, Phil did.
I'm not going to say. I think he's the fucking Darth Maul. I think he's not the fucking master. I think that he wanted an acolyte for himself. They always want somebody that they can train because they want to overthrow the person that trained them or whatever, right? Just like Sidious wanted to kill his master, just like Vader ended up killing his master. Well, not really killing because he came back somehow. But anyway, that I think that it's going to be found out that there's another person out there that he fucking has to go back to. I thought there was a lot of stupid shit in there. Like I said, I think that the dialogue was stupid. That they should have just fought. They should have just fought because that was entertaining. But all the take off your mask. No, read my thoughts. Like, what the fuck? Like, shut the fuck up and and Darth Smiley, that was or Smilo Ren, whatever the fuck. Like, that was stupid.
Darth Teeth.
Like, what did you say?
Darth Teeth.
Darth Teeth. Yes, exactly. I'm sorry. Like I said, the back looks like Kylo Ren, but the front looks ridiculous with the teeth. It looks so stupid.
I wouldn't be surprised. People are theorizing that it's going to inspire the creation of the Knights of Ren eventually, which I could see Disney trying to do.
It might, but then you got that fucking scene where he's like running through the force and you see fucking Darth Smiley's face like, I'm going to get you, bitch. And I'm like, that's fucking ridiculous. Like if you had seen fucking that, but like in Vader, like when he's talking to Luke, like Father, Luke, like, hey, it's me, Father. Like, what the fuck? That was just a dumb cut that when they put his face like this when she was running through the fucking forest or whatever the fuck trying to get away.
Hey, that was kind of disorienting.
And then the fucking like I'm gonna cut my fucking hair, give myself a haircut to fucking trick somebody who should use the force and know that it's not the fucking bitch that he trained, that it's his fucking sister. And then and what they're doing, oh look, it's the fucking tattoo. Her fucking tattoo is gonna be the dead giveaway when fucking Salt, because the little fucking beaver dude saw it too, and so he's gonna be like, here I'm fucking, she's fucking doing a parent trap on you, which is fucking ridiculous. Like, who's gonna fall for that shit? And then the Sith kid, fucking, Discount Ezra Miller goes and says, hey, I guess you're mine because you were left here. Like, she went through the forest, she undressed her own unconscious sister and put her clothes on to go trick Saul and take, I guess be taken back to the fucking Jedi Council or whatever. I'm saying it's the fucking green girl. It's
also like
Leslie Headland's fucking wife is the fucking Sith master. Like,
I can see that. And also like the dialogue that Quimir says to an unconscious Osha when she's down, like it made no sense.
It made no
what is he
sense.
trying to say?
It made no damn sense. And I mean, you're dying. That was unfortunate for his character, but like most people haven't really given a shit about his character because he gets told every fucking chance anybody gets, like you're like when fucking Osha was like, I'm not giving you my blaster, fuck off. I mean, they totally disrespect that dude, and then he gets his neck snapped. I'm like, okay. So I don't know what they're trying to say there, but whatever. Yeah. That and the fucking dialogue was, and her acting in this, she acted better in episode 2 and 3 and 4. In here, it was bad. It's like, you're hurt and just so stoic and like, okay, what the fuck? I don't know. This is turning out to be so bad. The best thing about this whole series was the fighting. That's the best thing.
That's accurate.
I think that's
Gavin here saying May
really
cool. back and forth. May going back and forth the entire time is kind of getting ridiculous in the last couple episodes. And like RJ here says, May's character is very confusing.
And then fucking May was like, I'm gonna go turn myself in. And then the little X-23 Jedi is like, yo, I need to take you back. You're under arrest. She was like, fuck that. I'm not going to turn myself in, even though I just said I'm going to turn myself in. The best chance she had was fucking sticking around Saul and hey, maybe y'all can, because the fucking Sith guy is going to kill me because I betrayed his ass, and it's a stupid fucking show.
Yeah, this last episode kind of is like unraveling some things writing wise for me. But real quick, let's get who wants to go first, Phil or Sean?
I'll give Phil the floor because I know Phil has a different opinion of the show. So
I mean, look, the only thing I was really disappointed by was the whole Quimir reveal. Like that to me was really the big like moment. But like, I'm not looking at it that deep because there's still 3 episodes left.
That's true.
Right? So we don't really even know what May's end game is or where she's going to end up. Same with Osha. They both feel very conflicted about where or what they want to be. And that's pretty fucking clear. Like, May clearly wants to like try and keep the idea alive of her mother's wishes of being this, space witch, whatever, or, It to me, it feels like these are 2 young twins who are just trying to find their place in the world and they're having difficulty as such. But the fact that, one wanted to be an acolyte for a Sith master and then now is like seeing the horrors of it and wants to like kind of reprimand that. Well, there's really not a lot going back on that because you killed 2 Jedi already. But the third one, she can't really take responsibility for. That was Homeboy in the Mask. But I don't know. I feel like I don't hate the show, but I'm not like superbly in love with it. I do like Master Soul. I do like Lee Jung Jae's character. I think he's probably the most relatable character there because obviously he's still hiding like something that happened on Brendok and he's not being honest about it. And now he's got all of this to carry on to. Now he just watched his fucking Padawan die, right? His newest Padawan. And now he has no idea that he's even got May aboard. And I think the reason because of that is because he's probably still just trying to reel in from everything that he just witnessed. And obviously
That's
he's
fair.
not too concerned about whether or not that is or is not May. And honestly, I'm very curious to see the conversation that is going to be had between Quimir and Osha, because they're obviously Osha's going to wake up and realize like what the fuck happened. And then Homeboy is going to fucking feel like, oh, you're not my acolyte.
And also, like,
he's probably
when
going to be
Soul-
like, you want
Even
to
in
train
that
with me now?
The second episode, didn't he kind of like almost figure it out that you're not fucking,
Yeah, he could
May?
tell pretty quickly that.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
that
but
she
they
was
should.
different.
The thing is like, like you said in his mask, he was like, "Read my thoughts." Like they should be able to kind of like identify or feel through the force who the fuck this other person is.
I think it's
You know,
fair.
like-
I think
that's
for
why
me though,
this-
with
Soul did
Instant,
say,
go
Soul
ahead.
said he felt something familiar. So clearly, Quimir has some kind of tie
to
the-
what happened with the witches.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got to be
yeah.
that or some. I don't know.
and for me, for how long we're waiting for Soul to actually say what happened, because he keeps saying like, "Well, I need to tell you," or "I'll tell you," or "I need to talk about this." He keeps
knows he's
saying
in the
that.
5th episode.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, he keeps saying that. I hope that the explanation is actually worth that build-up,
Ooh.
which we'll see if it is. But yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Phil.
No, you're fine. I mean, I don't disagree with that criticism. I feel like they've been kind of dragging his explanation along because he keeps kind of deflecting from it. And honestly, that's kind of a human thing to do. When people have something important they try to talk about, they kind of deflect until they're really ready to talk about it. And honestly, after everything that Soul's witnessed, especially on this planet, I feel like he's going to be pushed into a corner where he has to talk about it. And I feel like it's going to come to a point where it's probably going to be him and Vernestra and maybe May, like they're all going to be cornered into a very tough conversation to have. And he's going to have to reveal what really happened on Brenduck, because I don't at all buy that May set the fire and that's what killed everybody. Obviously, there was some kind of conflict because Torben's eye was fucked up. Like the Jedi had something to do with that.
Well, that and everybody was just laying down.
Yep.
Like asleep. It,
Yep.
it wasn't like they, nobody was burned. Nobody was,
Nobody was shot,
and there
apparently.
was, yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's not that hard for solid rock and metal to catch on fire, but there was something else that happened to them because they were just all
and also
down.
Just in terms of Quimir and the Sith Lord, Leslie Headland did say that there's always 3. There's at least 3 characters, and we've seen 2 between Quimir and May. And my question now is who the fuck trained Quimir in the dark side of the Force?
Green head lady.
I kind of agree with that, Ryan, because like every time she's on screen, I kind of get some sinister vibes from her.
Well, she always feels like she wants to cover shit up. She always, doesn't want to go to tell people or whatever. I understand she's from like the old Republic or some bullshit like or some booker. She's somebody from somewhere else or whatever. But don't they like say fuck canon and we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want because it's our property? I mean, don't they already do that? And would that be considered legends? Is that right? Right.
Well, High Republic, isn't that something that was published under like when Disney owned the property? Like that's a newer thing.
Oh, it was? Oh, okay.
Yes,
I don't really care. But yeah, I mean, she just seems like the prime candidate because I mean, this fucking thing's written so poorly. So it feels like to me, like, she's just like, yeah, no, we can't tell anybody. Like, Yoda who, so,
But with that, Sean, give us your thoughts.
I mean, yeah, you guys covered a lot of it already for me. So,
don't be shy. Like me.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I like everyone said, I think that the best parts were the action sequences. Very little dialogue, which I actually enjoyed. The minimal dialogue in this episode because the dialogue has been part of, I think, what's turned off a lot of people because of the contradictions that have been happening across episodes, within episodes, which hasn't helped. The whole lightsaber thing shorting out. Immediately, what I thought to myself was, should have a backup. Why not have a backup saber just in case that one breaks? Because obviously they're going to break now because that's kind of what we're going for here. Either just going to short out and they have to kind of tap the batteries on the bottom to get it working again.
Damn crystal.
Or shake it a little bit. Like,
yeah, it's the shake one. They're like,
shake weight. The shake weight.
Here we go.
You gotta shake it, get it going. I mean, the whole Quimir thing. I mean, we've all said it wasn't a surprise when that happened. I mean, I was just waiting for it to happen. I did notice that Soul did have there was a conflict there. I think when he tried to, Quimir called him out on when he's trying to attack him from behind, like, oh, you're supposed to be this Jedi, and now you just tried to pretty much kill me, from the back. Like you were trying to
Saul
take me
was
on.
aggressive.
Correct.
They always say that the Force, is for defense, never for attack.
Correct.
And
So it was almost as if
his little Padawan did the same thing. She was attacking.
So it's almost as if they were trying to call out the fact. I think we talked about when this show was starting, or the first couple of reviews that we did on the other episodes, it was trying to call into question that, the Jedi aren't as good as everyone thinks they are. Like, Soul, you're not as good as you think you are just because you're a Jedi, because you just tried to kill me by attacking me, right? But rather than defending, as you just pointed out, Ryan. I also wasn't surprised that they literally, because we talked about this, I think last week, about all these other Jedi that were there, and they were just seemed like, you guys are just extra, you guys are just extra Jedis. And we thought, well, why not just kill a couple of them in episode 4? Well, they killed them all in episode 5. So it was, and the whole thing with the switch of Osha May. My thing is, I wonder if Soul knows the switches happen and we just don't know. Like, he can sense, like, wait a minute, you're not. You're
kind of like when they tested Osha and could tell that she was lying and like kind of was playing around with her.
Correct. So I'm wondering if he knows the switches. They should, and I'm wondering if I'm hoping that's the route they go. I'm not sure they're smart enough to do that though. In the next 3 episodes, to think, hey, we'll have him know that the switch took place, and then they'll get her there, and then now they know that they have the real, they have her, that they wanted to arrest her, right?
Because he did his first thing when he gained conscious or whatever, he was like, "Where's your sister?" He didn't say, "Where's May? Where's Osha?" He is, "Where's your sister?" But then also that just leads you to believe that if he knew that was May, he just left Osha on a planet with the worm bug things.
Yeah. So
to be fair, they haven't left the planet yet. That's still
that's true. That's true. I can't. And there's somebody, and I think it is.
Overall,
is somebody supposed to have a light whip?
The green lady.
She's
overall. There's 3 episodes left. I mean, we're already halfway through. I mean, do I love this? Do I love this show, this season, this series? No, but I'm invested. I want to just see how it plays out. I mean, will I ever revisit this show? No, I'll never. This will never be a rewatch for me. I'll never come back. I'll never think about it again after this said and done. But again, I'm invested. I want, again, as I've always said, we'll watch it to form my own opinion versus just saying, oh, it's just trash. I'm not gonna watch it. Right. So we'll see how it plays out.
Absolutely. Doing the due diligence.
Absolutely.
I 100% agree with that. I echo that, where I don't hate the show, but I'm not like, ooh, Acolyte's dropping tonight, I gotta sit down and watch this.
Look,
I'm more like watching it just because it's like I want to be able to talk with the guys. I want to give my opinion on it, just like what Sean was saying.
You can look at Star Wars as if it's like pizza. Even bad pizza is still good on a bad day. Like, pizza's pizza. Pizza's awesome. As far as I'm concerned, Star Wars is awesome, even when it's not that great.
Well, Star Wars in general, yeah.
Unless there's pineapple. Unless there's pineapple on the pizza, then I'm definitely not eating the pizza.
On the pizza, I'm never going to visit that pizza again.
Or pineapple, I will not. No,
not the point I was making, but sure.
Well, I mean, I guess there's Star Wars for everybody. There's the originals, there's the prequels, there's the sequels, and there's this newer stuff. So if people are vibing with it, then cool. If not, then I'm kind of there with them. But Star Wars has a lot of stuff, and also there's books. I've been reading a lot of the Star Wars books lately, so. And
I'm not even mad if Disney decides to do their own thing, because George Lucas has even said the expanded universe legend stuff isn't even canon anyway, so it doesn't even really matter. Disney can do whatever they want.
Yep.
They bought it.
My only thing with that is that's true. That's true. Disney can do whatever they want with that. Is that my main thing that kind of frustrated me? So kind of going to something that was a big talking point last week was about the Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi. Now, I will openly say, I did not know his age. I did not know his age when the episode came out. I did not know. And I read a lot of things about what his age was in Legends and what his age was after they had switched things up on, different sites regarding Star Wars information. My main thing is that sometimes it feels like Disney decides to change things that fans had understood to be canon simply because they can. And that part is kind of a little irritating, because there's some things where it's like, you don't need to change a ton about it. And they haven't necessarily changed tons of things about it, but I don't know. I can understand some frustration with that.
I don't see the point of him being in the show at all. Like, they could have used Yaddle, because Yaddle would have been alive, I think.
Yeah,
they could have used another, they could have used that other guy, the other guy with the big ears and, the little, short guy. They could have used him.
They also could have used the Yarrow Proof, who is the tall, long neck.
Honestly, I think getting frustrated. I'm not saying anyone here, but I just feel like getting frustrated over the age of an ancillary supporting character in a Star Wars TV show that was in the prequel trilogy is a nothing burger to get mad about, because I promise you nobody gave a fuck about the age of this character until this show, because they are deliberately looking for shit to be mad about, as opposed to trying to have a nuanced conversation about the technical criticisms of anything pertaining to the show, be it the action, the dialogue, whatever. No, they want to bitch about something canonical or non-canonical because it just gives them a reason to fucking hate fuel and hate the show more than they already do. It's a nothing burger to get mad about.
That's fair. Yeah. I think there's some things, like when you talk about like the time periods and things, like there's some things that should line up. And of course, Ki-Adi-Mundi's age wasn't necessarily established in canon. So that's, like you said, kind of a nothing burger there. The main thing that they're going to have to wrap up by the end of this season is make it to where Ki-Adi-Mundi being a part of the conversation of a Sith-like person being out there. And then also what he says in the Phantom Menace of the Sith haven't been seen in a millennia. They're going to have to reconcile that in some way. And I've seen some people say like, oh, well, he's still covering up what happened back then. Why would he do that at that point? Why would that be a problem?
I don't see
so they're going to have to find some smart way to make it still work. I mean, it's not necessarily a huge part of the prequels, obviously, where he says the Sith haven't been seen in a millennia, because obviously Palpatine's
and even
still
then,
there.
that's
so.
right, and that's and that in and of itself is also incorrect, because as you mentioned, Sidious is there, and even then, Sidious was trained by Plagueis. And Plagueis existence. Plagueis is very.
Well, I guess the main point is not that they existed, but that they hadn't been seen by a Jedi.
And was it ever established in Disney canon that Plagueis was Sidious's master, or did he just know the legend, or the tragedy of Darth Plagueis?
That's a good question. I'm curious what Disney does with that.
Oh my god. Okay, you know what? Never mind.
No, go ahead. If you have like,
I think that's kind of a dumb question to ask, considering Disney deliberately picks up from episode 7, from episode 6, and episode 3 is canon. So yes, technically Plagueis would be canon. So I think that's kind of a ridiculous question to ask.
Well, it's not the question of if Plagueis was canon, but whether he was Palpatine's master. Because it's insinuated, but it's never like outright said in the movies.
It's never outright
the
said.
Case.
So I mean, you can feel however you want.
There's an inference that's made, and there was a book written about it too. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they reconcile that whole idea by the end of the show. And if they do, then great. And if they don't, then that'll still be a question that is kind of hung in the air. It's not gonna be something that like breaks my world for me or anything, but it's gonna be a question that I'll have for sure about. Is like, well, what does this mean? Is there gonna be an inconsistency here? Which, to be fair, an inconsistency in Star Wars is not a rare thing, obviously. But I don't know. We'll see. Again, with the series, I liked the fights in episode 5. A lot around it, not as much. Master Soul is still the best character. We'll see how these last 3 episodes pan out, and if it makes it to where some of the stuff is worth it, like waiting to hear what Master Soul has to say and what his experience was and what he did. Will it be worth the build-up? I don't know. But I don't know. That concludes my thoughts. And then, Sean, was there anything more that you wanted to add about?
No, man, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm all set. Like I said, we've all covered. I mean, many of the core points. So. Yeah, like I said, I'll just see how it plays out. Like I said, I'm already 5 episodes in. I might as well just watch the last 3 because I want to form my own opinion on how the show ends. So yeah, and to me, it's like the DC stuff we talked about, right? If you love the show, hey, that's awesome. Enjoy the show. I'm glad you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy the show, you don't enjoy the show. We're not all going to like the same things, and that's the whole point, right? We all like the same things. We're all just sitting here talking about how much we just love the same things, right? So
and a lot about loving something is, talking about it, criticizing, or giving honest thoughts about it. And so, we love these IPs like Star Wars, DC, Marvel, and all of that. And there are things that we like about them. There are things we don't like as much. Like for me, like I call myself a DC fan, but there are plenty of characters and stories in DC that I couldn't give a crap about.
Yep, sure.
Just because it's not up my alley.
Right.
Same thing with Star Wars. Like, I love the originals and prequels. I love Rogue One. I love a lot about The Mandalorian. Don't really care too much at all about the Book of Boba Fett or too much about the sequels. But again, there's something in those genres and those IPs for everybody. There is, if people like more campy stuff in DC, they have the more campy earlier stuff and some of the more campy modern stuff in comics and some of the movies. If they like more serious stuff, there's stuff for that too. Yep. So that's the fun thing about this stuff, honestly, is that there's serious and campy books, there's serious and campy movies, there's, shows that are written well and in a complex way, and there's some that are really straightforward and basic, some that are nonsensically written. But again,
and I think that something, my last point, I think something that the larger community needs to, in my opinion, just get over is, if so I'll use you, Dawson, as the example. If you loved the show, well then what right do I have to attack the fact that you love this show? You love the show, that's fine. I don't like the show, and that's fine. But there's no need for people to go on personal attacks.
wait, what show are we talking about here?
The Acolyte.
Oh, I don't love it.
No, I'm just saying.
You lied.
If you did love the show, people
Yeah.
just tend to go on personal attacks because of what you like. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't, you don't. That's fine. We can have an adult conversation of why you like it, why I don't like it, and walk away. Hey, you respect that, and you respect my opinion, and we move on, right? But the fact that this show alone is just causing so many people to attack the other side or just attack each other within, it's like, come on.
Same with Superman.
Same with Superman.
Same with
Exactly.
Superman.
And like Ryan said earlier, these are fictional characters.
Yeah.
They're not real. And the fact that so many people are treating them like they're like, hey, that's my cousin on the show. Like, legit, May is my cousin. Like, no.
Well, I'll tell you how they're treating it. They're treating it like look, I'm saying this as a religious person. So they're treating it like an evangelical Christian talking about Bible canon.
Yep.
That's what that's what it feels like they're treating it. And again, as a religious person, that is irritating as hell, those conversations.
And
it absolutely is.
And
then
growing
applying
up
it to
as
fictional characters.
And growing up as a
Even more
PK,
insane.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yep. And applying that mindset to fictional characters is even more ridiculous. So, real quick, we do have a super chat from Dwayne Jackson here. $10. First off,
Thank you.
Dwayne, here's Doomsday. Dwayne here says, I watched the Spider-Man, the horror take, like fan film. Who directed the film? I'm not sure, but I have seen parts of it.
I've seen a little bit of it, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, kudos to the originality remaining. A different take on Spider-Man. Poor Uncle Ben. Yeah, so it's the guy who played Carl in The Walking Dead who plays Peter Parker in that. And it's
Chandler Riggs. Okay.
Yeah, Chandler Riggs. Yeah, and I saw a lot of it, and yeah, they did a really good job with it. It's pretty creepy, very original, and yeah, honestly, kudos to them for doing something very, very different from. Well, I don't know if it's a fan film. It may have been, but anyway, yeah, no, it was very interesting, very original take, and even though I'm not necessarily a huge horror guy, I could appreciate the originally for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyone else here see that?
I have not seen it. Sorry.
I will. I'll be going to look for it now because I love horror. So I'll definitely.
Yeah, I was about to say that's right up your alley, Sean. And
I'll definitely.
why
the ending of it also.
He's right up your alley.
Say, why haven't I seen this yet?
What the heck are you doing, man?
I know.
You're off your game.
Fuck.
But
I watch Joker too much.
Yeah. You got it on repeat.
Hold on. You saying that's kind of blasphemous, isn't it?
Well, I'll retract.
Look, there's never.
No one clip that.
If you love something, it's never a bad thing to watch it too much. It's never a bad thing.
It's playing right now.
Hey, there you go. And with that, guys, I want to once again thank you guys for tuning in another week with us. 180th episode in the books. Slowly on the road to 200, and
20 more for the big giveaway.
And then we're done.
Retiring.
What giveaway?
No.
There's a
All right.
giveaway.
Well, I guess that's it. No more chats.
Are we gonna do a giveaway?
Oh,
we haven't talked about it. I mean, we could. Gosh dang it, Andre.
like, hi guys.
The stream
Sorry
was
I couldn't
pure.
be there, but I decided not to.
What are we giving away?
Well, we'll have to figure that out if we do that. We'll
He said,
TBD.
Tell you
Andre,
what,
we know how you feel.
I'll get something cool we can give away at Comic-Con. I'll get something cool we can give it away
Ooh,
at
that'd be
Comic-Con.
cool.
How's that sound?
And I'm going to a Comic-Con. Well, I'm going to have a table at a Comic-Con this next month, and that'll be before 200th episode. So I'll see if there's something there too. But
There you go.
yeah, we'll figure something out. We haven't. Ryan's just putting us on the spot with ideas that we haven't actually finalized yet. That's how it feels.
We should be happy Grandpa Ryan can stay up this late for the show.
it's getting past my bedtime, guys. I don't know what we're doing here.
But
Okay.
anyways, that's why it's near the end. So as always, guys, we appreciate you guys' your input, these conversations, and listening to us ramble. Anyway,
Thank you.
Andre's just kind of saying random stuff now.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
But once again, guys, we appreciate you. And you can find Phil. He's got the podcast, The Eternal Night. In fact, him and I are planning on doing something with that here pretty dang soon.
Yep.
Also, you can find him on Threads, Instagram, and Vero and Blue Sky, right?
Correct. Since I'll be going to Comic-Con, if anyone wants to contribute to my Comic-Con fund, that'd be nice. Venmo and PayPal. I can put them in the show notes. So yeah, that'd be really cool and helpful. But yeah, I'll be leaving for Comic-Con in just about under a month now. San Diego, to be more specific. So
San Diego. Nice. And then Ryan, you can find him on Instagram where he posts about his new upcoming book that he's working on flatting right now, which is very, very exciting.
Yeah, which is very very therapeutic to do that to music, and just it's like I was saying earlier, it's like paint by numbers, but who gives a shit about the color? Rambling Nerds.
That's the name of the show.
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, guys, check out my my art on Instagram. Drop me a like. It really does help, with the algorithm if people give a shit about what you're posting. So I appreciate it. If you guys just go over there, check me out. It is Zeever Comics over there as well. I'm just kind of rebranding from Zeeverfett, just kind of like dropping the Star Wars off the name. But yeah, so having a good time.
Andre, we are actually.
In fact, I'm giving you a high five right now.
Yeah, he's just right over here.
Yeah. See, everybody knows.
You see a hand reaching through.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then Sean, you can see him on X and Instagram at Nerd Cosa Nostra. And yeah, he's here frequently. He's also with the sci-fi. Oh, gosh.
So I do. I do. So the Sci-Fi Center on Saturdays, and then I do the ACS Universe. So Anthony does a Monday and Friday show now at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. for me, 8 a.m. Eastern time, and so I do. Anthony and I do the Monday show together. So yeah, you can check us out there on Mondays.
Nice. And as for myself, you can find me here as well as on X, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm posting close-up stills of some of the book that I'm working on right now, and DJWArt.com. Thank you, Ryan, or whoever did that. Not that. I'll be at Capital City Comic-Con in Lansing, Virginia, or not Lansing, Lansing, Michigan, this next month. That's how I will get there. I'll be bungee jumping and also riding roller coasters. It's going to be a very eventful trip. But yeah, I'll be in Lansing, Michigan for Capital City Comic-Con this next month, which is going to be very, very exciting. Yes, also check out Zeeverfett TeePublic. Yes. And I post a lot of the sketches that I do, from sketchbook to sticky note stuff, on Instagram and TikTok. Sometimes I post it on X. But yeah, as always, guys, we appreciate your support. You guys tuning in, listen to us ramble. Have a good week.